Now again, if I want, I can probably take Poppy's deal, and you know, I can give up one of the pawns if I need, but I also don't really need the money right now. So I've been paid my fee. It's difficult to say whether I've earned it. Fortunately, it's difficult for them to say whether I've earned it too. And we're back on generating a bunch of mystique. Oh, that's right. The reason I was holding off on the expeditions is because the Suppression Bureau is going to take an interest. But I'm committed now, so I will just do more underhanded deeds, and I'll probably have to try and find a way of getting rid of the evidence when the time comes. Okay. For now, I'm just going to drown them in mystique to deal with the... And let's talk about secrets. Talking publicly about the invisible arts will attract attention. Perhaps that's what I want. We have relics. Ancient relics. Oh, desperate deception. Okay, this might get interesting. As a backup, murder them or deceive them. Well, let's bring Rose in just in case. The culprit, it transpires, is the audience. The surviving queens are directed to execute whatever audience members do not escape. A surprisingly lucid epilogue suggests that correspondences of the river names and historical events does provide clues to secret histories of our own. Am I offline? The government has finally found out about my secret smuggling ring. I think I'm online, but let me see what's going on here. Okay, so it looks like there's a bump that happened in the stream. Oh, just cut out for a minute? Okay, yeah. I'm noticing there's like a break in the videos. That sucks because it always makes it hard to put them on YouTube. But anyways, let me know if you missed anything important. But we've read the Queens of the Rivers a couple of times before, so. All right, let's do collection of essays again. I'll use this to max out my smart, and again, we're gonna try and bring in some fresh blood. Inspiration and desperation. I've been paid my fee. It's difficult to say whether I've earned it. Fortunately, it's difficult for them to say whether I've earned it too. And again, the name of the game here is to just try and generate as much mystique as I can, because I didn't consider the fact that I was under investigation, and I don't actually have really good mechanisms for dealing with all this. So they're stronger and wiser than we had supposed, and now their blows have found a mark. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Wanted to go through the stag door again. Alright, I think I'm just going to let this fleeting reminiscence kind of decay on its own. I don't really have a good way of handling all of this, so... Okay, fortunately nobody died. The next best I can do is just add another pawn, but the funny thing is we don't actually have enough edge. I'd have to add 3 of them to, or sorry, the other 2 to actually push us a little bit above where we're at with Moth. So this might have been a bit premature, but I guess we'll see how it goes. Possibilities. Again, we'll read another collection of essays. Okay, so paid my fee again. However, Old and Happy Far Off Things has reared its head. So, I have no staleness. It would actually be kind of cool if I could use the notoriety. But I can't, so I won't. I'll paint away the restlessness, knowing that I'll earn some more in just a moment. just keep throwing bodies at the problem. Could spend more money on better paints. Okay, Subtle Rupture. This would be helpful if I wanted to summon something, but I would have to kill someone to do that. So let's try the Painted River again. And we wound up with a Forbidden Epic. The attention of the hours is drawn to the bloodiest wars. Afterwards, the histories are braided like hair. So I might actually have... Oh no, we still need more Forbidden Epics. So there's a great chamber in the Mansus through which the Painted River flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails and flecks of gold leaf when I was done. By the way, I don't think I ever really finished the idea with Flow. So you were talking about endings and all of that. So one of the reasons why I'm a little what might seem to be a little evasive in terms of some of the answers in terms of what the ending is because this game is very much about your passions and interests and how they relate to the world around you, and you're sort of on this journey of this particular character. It is really what you make of it. For instance, two of the endings that we've gotten, one of them we were eaten as part of a ritual, and then the most recent one I got, we were effectively dismembered by our followers. And both of those are considered major victories, if not good endings. Because, of course, you have to be of a certain mindset to find, being torn apart by your followers a satisfactory outcome. But it's a wonderful, strange, and really well-written game. So it's why I keep coming back to this stuff and sounding like a total weirdo. All right, we'll still spend money on paints, although I may regret it. Come with me. So Eldridge. I think Eldridge is an edge follower, if memory serves. So let's throw him into the mix. An interesting question too. So restlessness, I'll need to wait a fraction of a second. So it doesn't have winter aspect. I know sickness does, but I don't think I want to use sickness in a ritual an initiation on the odd chance that it goes away. So Eldridge is an elegant man of inelegant habits. Okay, they're stronger and wiser than we had supposed, and now their blows have found a mark. So the worst that's happening right now is... By the way, I do rather like the idea... Eyes of Sin would kill me if she was around. But I love this idea that every time we fail to deceive them, it's always Neville that gets caught. And that effectively you just... If this were a movie, you'd see just these shadows in the background. And the sound effects would be... But maybe that's just me. Nobody tell Sen I said that. Alright, my recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain, so... More mystique is good once we get into a situation where the police are going to be investigating us, but we've still only broke even as far as the money's concerned. An expedition member has fallen. Alright, let's see who we lost. Okay, so if I'm going to go for it, it's going to have to be Hard Edge. Eldridge has almost learned not to pick his teeth with his knife in conversation. He has not yet learned to leave his knife in his boot. Supplies are low. Unless we send more funds, we'll have to abandon the expedition. Okay, first up, Eldridge is going in. Looks like Yzabet was the one to take the fall. I'll speak the words only and exactly... I will speak only and exactly 9 words. The novice will speak none at all. Also, the new description for Eldridge is... Eldridge says, oh, sorry, yes, we already did read that. So let's try, I think before we go further, I'm going to try and heal Yzabet. Yzabet sleeps and fits and starts. She rises at dusk to do the things a Yzabet does. And unfortunately, I need to spend money to heal. So once they've healed up, we're going to try recruiting again. The Wolf Despair prowls elsewhere. Once we've added the money, I'm going to throw Eldridge in. That will bring our edge up to 6. The taste, the particular taste, the taste which is neither fair nor foul, it comes to trouble my mouth again. My tongue will swell, my lips are not as important as the Mansus, obviously. I'm going to do the Ascent of Knives here because I think there might be a fascination waiting for me. Yep. Anger is implicit in every shape. Of the places my dreams took me last night, this has been written. The ascent is glass, the walls are knives, each step is blood. I did not climb far. The pain was too great. When I woke, the pain remained with me, a pain that I could employ to occult purposes if I hurry. Now I want to try and start picking up winter of these if I can, because obviously 10 winter influence is pretty significant in terms of being able to level up some of my followers in my current state. I just don't recall, I don't think it's likely that I'll be able to get winter from the Stag Door. I think I actually need to go back down to the White Door in order to get that. It would be appropriate, obviously. You know what, let's give it a shot. So, in my dreams I know the path to the White Door through the Bounds, but that path is thronged with the dead who pass that way. I need health to resist their chill. Now I can approach the White Door through the Bounds. Now I can press my fingers to it, feel its chill, watch it swing open. As it opens, my mouth closes, tightens, heals over like a lost deformity. Around and about me is the cobalt light of the Mansus. Okay, more much needed money. So if you're quick enough with the pause, you basically get 2 every minute, which means that you can pay rent and have a surplus. Okay, so Eldridge, please do your thing. Our strength is considerable. We should be more than enough for these holy fools. I have one other pawn if it comes down to it, but perhaps now they'll survive, but there are limits to what the human body can sustain. There is a neat little tension as far as followers. They do get better as they're wounded, but of course you need to decide how much you're willing to risk in terms of them getting to that state. So we've now got 4 Graveyard Mouth, and a 5th is on its way. So I think we're actually going to have to abandon the expeditions after these and start getting some corpses. Possibilities. Okay. So we're going to study with the Profound Scholarship. And I was curious. So this would be Brighter Illumination. I'm curious what the other one would be. Would Edge? A deeper concentration. I will be relentless. I will not be denied. Yep, I like the idea of the single-minded pursuit. I should have seen what Winter would have given me. I've been paid my fee. It's difficult to say if I've earned it. Fortunately, it's difficult for them to say whether I've earned it too. So, as before, we'll just keep cranking out cash. Their bodies lie in robed huddles, each indistinguishable from the next. Step over, move on. Okay, more restlessness on its way. The wound is healed, but this one came very close to death. Silence has touched them like snow. So, they've gained additional winter. This will probably make them easier to upgrade, actually. Wrong group. But we finished the expedition, so that's good news. The less good news, of course, is that we are going to have to deal with notoriety for the next little while. So, Forgotten Chronicles, bringing people into the cult, or talking about lore, in this case the Forgotten Chronicles, bringing people into the cult. Generally things that generate mystique will be the order of the day. Okay, let's try the Lodge of the Sage Knight, which I think will be the more likely location for these Fascination, of course. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. Now, I think I've got a fleeting reminiscence. I do. 41 seconds left on that, so... Last night in the billowing blue of the Lodge of the Sage Knight, I sat on velvet cushions and watched two dead contend with shining swords. They came with the place, said the woman who rules here now, the one who once called herself Gallagher. I was not the Sage Knight, if that's what you're wondering. He went higher in the manses, long before I came here. My attention has drifted, the swords sparkle like falling water. The dead move like dancers. Okay. So, double up fascination, fleeting reminiscence, the doors of vision swing wide, a little darkness will mellow my light, even dread has uses. So, course of the heart, so a little vitality, but I don't really need it right now. We don't need anything else, we're on our way to the objective, so I'm happy enough with that. Again, use restlessness to crank out the money. So there's two possibilities in terms of what happens with the detective here. Either we keep them on the Mystique treadmill long enough to avoid the notoriety, or they consume it, and at that point I need to find someone to deal with said evidence. My own heart pumps more strongly today. Stillness is the virtue. So I've got skill is silent intensity, and that's very much not me. The chilly stillness is the stillness of certainty. And of course, additional reason. So 6 passion, 7 reason, 5 health, I think is the actual number. Possibly 6. Nope, 5. And a hell of a lot of graveyard mouth. I'm going to need to deal with that. Okay, on to the Burning of the Unburnt God. Compiled by J. Wrigglesworth Jensen from Oral Traditions in Rural Persia. Jensen hypothesizes a pre-Zoroastrian fire deity whose rites were the rites of smiths. Alright, more work, more money, more mystique. Okay, Season of Suspicion again, which is basically a free run, and as long as I don't generate any fascination, I'll be good. By the way, Valken, the funny thing is I always keep forgetting, and I know I've said this on stream before, I always keep forgetting that you came from Oct. So when I saw you in Oct's channel last night, I was a little taken aback. I'm like, wow, Valken was like sitting in my channel this whole time waiting for the host. That was really thoughtful. And then I realized, no, Valken has probably been there from the very beginning. I don't know why I came up with that anecdote right now. I think it's just because I'm feeling lonely. Okay, so White Door again, just because I want to see if I can try and generate some winter influence to upgrade people. Looks like we've got another mentor on the way. Hello, one more treasure. I should not neglect this last piece of priest. It will no doubt be chewy, but there is power and knowledge within. Aha. Okay. So, Secret Devotions. The minister's bedchamber is grand in proportion, but sparsely furnished. Beneath the window, a feathered ornamental axe rests beside an enameled chalice drum on a little altar of yew wood. Beneath the altar is a box secured with complicated triple knot. We find a trove of books and more besides, a knife rank with old blood, a twist of cloth, a leathery remnant of something the minister must have surrendered at his ordination. So, we've got to make sure the distribution is correct. Got a bunch of edge people. Okay, a couple of books that we already own, but that's fine. Unattended Church, that will potentially be a new location. The Rose of Nuriel, marked with the triple sign of the arcane contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot in Greek. De Bellis Mirorum, an 18th century epic poem by the pseudonymous Solipstos. The Rose of Wanzai, marked with the triple sign of the arcane contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot, but a fourth leaf has been added, disfiguring the sign in Greek. Khione at Abydos, a play dealing with a 9-year sojourn of the snow goddess in the Thracian city of Abydos by Apollo Fireweaver. It enjoyed success in London in its 1892 edition, when it was republished from apparently an older Greek text. That one's interesting to me because it's winter and Körner and Goethe. Körner and Goethe. Aus Friesisch Grammatik der Griechischen Sprache, a Greek grammar, an essential weapon for a ferocious struggle with a challenging language. We, of course, already have enough Greek, so... it's just because you sit here for so long, sometimes you can be very quiet. Yeah. In an unrelated note, you have red tea in a fox mug. What is red tea? It might be very mundane, and I'm unfamiliar with the term, but... Anyways, I should not neglect this last piece of priest. It will no doubt be chewy, but there is power and knowledge within. Okay. We'll find out in 9 seconds what that is. For now, we're going to search for promising cemeteries. Prowl the cemetery, seeking places of burial which are close, but not too close. Populous, but not too busy. So again, I don't want this thing to get up to 7, so corpses are fairly high priority right now. Leathery remnant, sense memories and longings, secrets of the knot, an unpromising scrap of old self. Once another wore this flesh. Cool, so I get a little snack. I don't know what makes red tea red, it's just a kind, and it has a natural sweetness to it. Sounds tasty. I should actually I have some tea. I just don't have any boiled water, and I think that would be asking a little much of you guys to wait while I boiled some water. I found a promising burial ground, so again, more mystique. I'm not going to complain about that. Now, the timings are going to be a little difficult, so I need to make sure that my study is available. Jensen ultimately concludes, with apparent reluctance, that the deity was a goddess. He suggests that the gender may have been the cause for its suppression. The rites described are often eerie, sometimes grisly. So, Rite of the Crucible Soul. This rite uses an instrument of power to set the blood afire. Fire is the lesion in the skin of the world. The assistant rarely survives unharmed. And we've got an ardent orison. When we watch a fire, what are we watching for? When we find it, these are the words it will speak. A word that sanctifies the change that comes when the seared skin peels. It's always time for tea. I have an electric kettle. Yeah, I've one, but I don't keep it by the computer. I have a really bad habit of spilling things on it. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a run on the cemetery, and of course we'll get the winter pawn to help because this is the only appropriate move. Stealthy excavations and soft light by a hooded lantern. So this is going to take 30 seconds. I'm not going to try the leathery remnant yet. And this is just because I'd like to make sure that I get my timings right for the police. I already have the notoriety on the table, so obviously I want to make sure that I'm not generating corpses that I can't immediately get rid of. So we've got Ibn Aladim. Dr. Ibn Aladim, called the Alapine, has an interest in overlooked history. He could use your assistance. So it's tempting to try and add another follower, but in this case, the doctor would like to help with his research. It's only going to take me 10 seconds, so I'm going to wait. Hello, the Eyes of Sin. I wasn't sure if I'd hear from you. It's good to see you. Dr. Ibn Aladim, called the Alapine, has offered you a commission. He would like you to provide him with a very substantial investigation of the severe mysteries of the Lantern. By the way, for those of you who've taken a look, you can see that emote that Valken just used. That is one of the Eyes of Sin. So in addition to the fact that she did these 3 lovely ones, She also does them for fancy broadcasters like Octavian. And she also streams every once in a while. Oh, no need to apologize. I mean, you mentioned that you had some time off coming up. And the thing is that I never want it to be... Sorry, one second. The thing is, like, just because you have time off, like, doesn't mean that you sign in to the job of like answering all my needs or something like that. Like, obviously it's your time and you can do what you want with it. I just wasn't 100% sure if I'd get a chance to talk with you tonight, so I'm very happy to see you in the channel. That's yes. I was actually hoping to trying to draw you out on that, Valken, because I don't sub to Octavian, but I really do like the emotes that the Eyes of Sin did for him. So thank you for sharing those. Anyways, please do give her a follow. She doesn't necessarily stream very often, but I think that's always the great reason to. I always think that's a great reason to follow someone, because obviously you're not going to just see them. You know, there's not going to be that schedule where you can visit. Instead, you put them in the list when they finally do stream. It gives you a chance to catch it when it happens. But that is no pressure. You can or can't stream whenever you want. I live in this perpetual fear that I'm going to deeply offend the Eyes of Sin and I won't get a chance to see her in the stream again. But she makes me very happy every time she visits by, so... She didn't do the kitties, but Kitty. Nicely done. Yeah, I think Sin did a really wonderful job with Octavian's. I really like the facial expressions, and I've seen the facial expressions on, or similar ones on other art that she's done. But I think especially to connect it with Octavian, especially know that they sort of know each other, it just brings an extra added level. So they are among some of my favorites that she's done. Not including mine, of course. Obviously, mine are the best ones that she's ever done. And she did them for exactly no money, by the way. I tried to pay her and she would not hear anything of it. So I had to come up with other ways to repay her. The photos are in your Snapchat. Okay, icy atmosphere. That's what I was looking for, and we'll have it for 60 seconds. So, the air crisps the skin, frost marks the glass. A 6th-order influence. The signs are unmistakable. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. If unused, it will become dread. That is a good one, Valken. Last night, the white door was as bright as a mirror, bright as fresh snow, bright as the migraine moon. I remember its brightness, but I had to remember its chill the most. I laid my cheek against it. I still felt the ache of its cold against my skull. So this is going to be a tough one because there's going to be another minute that runs by, bringing in the individual, but this will still boost my recruitment efforts a bit. So let's say 5 seconds for a corpse, and I'm going to risk it and go through the white door again, but I might wind up with a little more winter than I can handle. How are you doing tonight? Sorry, I don't want to make it just a chat between you and me, but are you doing well? The shovel strikes wood. That's a good sign. If the coffin is far too rotted, it is too far rotted. Usually the remains are scant. Okay, more mystique. Again, always good news. The neat thing about this one, of course, is the more corpses you dig up, you know, obviously the more likely it is that the Suppression Bureau takes an interest. And so I like the idea that the mystique sort of is the way that they start taking a look for a little bit longer than they normally would. I think that's a nice little elegant way of handling it. Okay, chow time. I can consume remnants to preserve a little of the knowledge from dust. I may yet have to. Once again, my appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. You've been catching up on sleep as much as you can and gardening from time to time, as well as getting more art in. All of those sound wonderful. I was actually thrilled when you sent me a photo of your garden. I suspect it's looking quite a bit leafier now. But I'm glad you've been getting some more art in as well. I feel like I am the naggiest... I don't even think I could, like, I should call myself like a manager or something like that, but I feel like I've taken on this mother/grandmother role, role of making you eat your greens, get your art in for the day. Oh, we can still visit this. There's sometimes something left over which must be buried again, but one can be efficient. Alright, we've got something shameful. We can eat that. Oh, we don't eat that. I haven't actually got the corpse yet. Jesus Christ. Calm down. You were way nicer than your grandmother. Yeah, I guess I should say it's the motherly. So your mom sounded reasonably cool. Okay, I kind of want to use the something shameful with Miss Nania, because I'd still like to get a better idea of how those work. Actually, you know what? I have a few things that I need to, like... I have a few things that I actually need to, like, diffuse right now, so... Nope, actually the restlessness still makes sense. So icy atmosphere presumably goes down to a 2. But we are going to have someone to recruit if it comes down to that. Okay, Lodge of the Sage Knight, we wound up with Fascination. So it actually wouldn't necessarily hurt to let that go down to Dread as well. Let's take a look and see what happens. So we just read this all. I'm going to skip it. Oh, actually, I don't need to worry about that because I have the Fleeting Reminiscence, so... I keep forgetting that that is now an option to get by with. We're obviously generating more vitality because we keep going through the the white door. This one I want to be a little more careful on because it's going to be a tighter window with the Suppression Bureau. So we'll wait the 10 seconds and then go back to the cemetery. And this thing I do need to make sure I get rid of one way or the other. Alright. More of the same. This time we got a light in the skull. One of the things that's neat about using the restlessness over and over again, so the other reason we're getting vitality is it has 2 heart. Potentially we can get glimmering from the Grail. I don't think Forge triggers anything, but I might be mistaken. This is where Old Unhappy Far Off Things comes from, and in this case we got a light in the skull. Whenever the Principle of Lantern sheds its light, I may recall additional scraps of knowledge. So most of these wind up being something that can sort of trigger a secondary effect. So far we've been kinda lucky in what we've drawn, but luck has a tendency of running out. Okay. Send the pawn in again. Sorry, son, just sending you a quick DM. Sorry about that. I try to make casting time like proper casting time, but occasionally stuff comes up. So I'm still gonna be mindful of the hunt after me. Okay, another fleeting reminiscence, more erudition, which is nice, but of course we're not going to be leveling up any of that, so it's more for my interest than anything. Place behind desire. Is there something to be learnt from the satisfaction of desire? You tell me, milady. Let's keep plowing ahead with the restlessness, and in 6 seconds I better do something about that chilly atmosphere. Shovel strikes wood, that's a good sign. If the coffin is too far rotted, usually the remains are scant. So, still have time with the something shameful. Let's eat. So I need 3 more. Come with me. Eau Claire. Eau Claire has a scholarly aspect and a morbid streak, so this is going to be helpful in a couple of ways. Okay, so the first thing I want to try and do is see if I can upgrade one of my existing followers. So I'm going to make it Yzabet because she's got the 2. Okay, so this would be sufficient to raise follower. Okay, so it's specific to Yzabet because she already has the 2 from the wound. This is kind of important for me because obviously I would have hurt myself if I just tried to use the the 2 winter in addition to the white ceremony. Let's say risk the white door again. Problem is the white door doesn't really give me a whole lot if I don't get the winter, but that's life. I get enough fleeting reminiscences that I don't need to worry too much about the fascination if it comes down to it. I'm mildly curious, so I can't use my physique. I'd actually need to use health. But in this case, of course, this is why you have followers. Stealthy excavations by the soft light of a hooded lantern. Sorry, just one more quick thing to type off. I'm really curious if we'll run out the clock on this one. We've got the mystique to be able to do well, but it doesn't matter how many of those spin in your favor. As long as they find one, you're gonna suffer it. So, hey, just the tip. We have been live for an hour, so you haven't missed too much. I did get something new. We've got the Leathery Remnant, which I haven't explored before. But how have you been? What's new? Yeah, no problem. I'm too lazy to implement most of the stuff for the bots, so the least that I can do is, the nice thing about these bots are that the commands are so generic that it's obvious what people are looking for. And in my particular case, like, I look at it this way. I put something up for a bot if it's something that I don't particularly want to deal with. So, you know, I like vocalizing the shout-outs to people, but it is tedious as hell to say, yo, go check out http://www.twitch.tv/theeyesofsin92. Or, of course, oh, how do you spell that? Because a lot of people think it's sin, as in, you know, the things that the Grail does. Well, I guess all the cult members have their sins. So it's like, no, it's THEEYESOFSYN, the number 9, the number 2. And they're like, wait, so it's a Y, not an I? Yeah, like, obviously that wastes a bunch of time. But if somebody says, you know, how long have you been streaming? Oh, it's been an hour. And hey, it's good to see you. And hey, you got a new job, moved to a new city, almost done with school. A lot has happened, and you're glad to be able to hang out and relax tonight. I'm not just happy that you're able to hang out and relax. I'm happy that you're able to say all of that and that things are picking up so well for you. Now, just a tip, I'm really bad at this. I think I've probably even said as much to you before. I don't remember what you're studying. And I say this to a lot of people. I think DoorDocs is doing a game design program. But yes, I'm actually very bad at remembering people's studies. I remember there was an engineer in the stream at some point. Maybe that was you? Anyways, I'm going to have to ask yet again, and I apologize. But more bodies. Let's have lunch. Once again, my appetite rises. Flecked once again with the shivers of revulsion. Again, more Mystique to keep me safe. IT secure. That's right. Were you around when we were playing Night Team 4? I don't remember if you were. Network engineer. Cool. Yeah, this is the thing. Is like if I say somebody has engineering, it's like one of the most generic things that I can say because there's obviously so many layers. It can't have been a year. If it has, it's been a really fast year. But yeah, so I am going to have to find a way of letting you know when I'm doing Night Team 4 again. Because Night Team 4 is basically your degree, the game. Okay, let's... 9 seconds seems like a really narrow window to try and deal with all of this. You know what? It'll be exciting. I'm happy because I'm alone. That's what the game's saying. Okay. I'm sure it's not that far back in the archives. But yeah, I think if you get a chance to check out Night Team 4, that is a really interesting game. So I'm slightly hurting myself here because it's 47 seconds, so this is actually a Mystique that could be elsewhere. But in this particular case, I want to deal with this restlessness. So I'm going to add... It's just going to be a straight 2 and 2. I normally want to add the notoriety, but in this case I'm trying to get rid of the notoriety, so I have to let that decay. We'll take this restlessness. Oh, YouTube VODs. Yeah, no, and you don't need to worry about, again, just the tip, it's, there's not a lot of activity going on in chat tonight, so I'm very happy to, sort of exchange ideas. But yeah, I mean, I'll be doing it live at some point again anyway, but Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You were not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. So, Ysabat was just here, just a moment ago. Just here. Almost certainly. And... I'm going to neutralize this restlessness for now. So I'll do a reading off of this one. We're going to talk to Nania about the something shameful. We'll convert the fleeting reminiscence back to restlessness, or we'll just take this one. Let's go back to the lodge, though. Favor from authority. Okay. I have learnt something that will earn me a favor once only. This will preserve you or a follower from imprisonment, but it cannot be relied upon. Last night, I dreamt of the blue silk pavilion overlooking the cloudy labyrinth of the Bounds. I listened to the mistress of this place speak of other visitors. The Suppression Bureau come here. Did you know that? I think they hope to recruit me as an ally, she snorts derisively. After what they tried to do to Christopher? But their folly is your fortune. I will tell you something that may help you if the Bureau ever troubles you. Okay, I also need to write the manuscripts, but... we certainly have a nice collection. What I should have done was left the last one for this remnant to see whether or not that counts towards my graveyard mouth, but a little too late now. I obviously don't want to give the Suppression Bureau an even better chance of catching me. So feast upon a remnant. It sounds like it will count. Colors of the Night, where you have a little bit of cash so we can afford it. And I think we go back to the White Door. Nope. Right, I'm not going to do anything exploration-wise for now. Okay, we're safe. So obviously now we're just going to go on to another expedition. Is that smart? I think I'm going to wait a little bit on that, actually. So in this case, I'll just go for the Forgotten Chronicle. Little wars, great intrigues, cryptic priesthoods, mystic crimes, all past now. But what traces did they leave? So one of the reasons I'm doing it this way, I want to try and get my followers a little bit higher up, which means reading some of the winter books and seeing if we can get a higher level to upgrade people with. So she understands my restlessness. She has known it herself now and then. She reminds me that nothing endures. So here we will read something shameful. Today, Miss Nania's eyes are almost sly. I see the mistakes, but I can also see the end. Okay, another something menacing. It's good just to try and get into the habit of remembering what all of these things are, so it was something shameful that we got here. My recent work is considered significant. I may yet earn a living from this, but nothing is certain. I should be using the study with the leathery remnant. I'm running out of space. Okay, so a small surplus, but obviously the 2 Mystique isn't really cutting it. I was just shy of what I needed. So in this case, I think I'm going to do... I'm just going to do the manual labor. Unskilled labor like a mountain. Once again, I put my strength to use. I'm a very mysterious individual, Mr. Bakett. Okay, let's say formula, leathery remnant. So again, sense memories and longings, the secrets of the knot, and an unpromising scrap of old self. Feast upon a remnant, chewy. So I'm curious if this advances it, or if we get some more information in terms of the ultimate goal. Snania says nothing, but her mouth curves slowly, slowly. I realize that I have never seen her part her lips. So the urgency of appetite isn't too helpful for me right now, but it doesn't hurt. Let's convert the fleeting reminiscence so I have something to put on the treadmill. Okay, we've got another icy atmosphere if I feel like I want to upgrade a follower, and I think I do, so. Last night the white door was as bright as a mirror, bright as fresh snow, bright as the migraine moon. I remember its brightness, but I had to remember it. Sorry, but I remember its chill the most. I laid my cheek against it. I feel the ache of its cold in my skull. Okay. So obviously in 19 seconds, we're going to upgrade first, and then we'll continue on with the something menacing, unexpected, joy, so on and so forth. I think we keep heading through this door until I get something else to do. Something? A luxurious memory. Pleasure, like the sea, is ancient. Pleasure, like the sea, precedes the conscious human soul. But like the sea, pleasure is different in every age and every hour. Paint with this memory to bring it to full awareness. All right. So there's a tip. We're still level 2, and there's the formula. Okay, so we've got something to do. Of course, I probably didn't want to convert the fleeting reminiscence now, but Key Hunter's Garret. Okay, I'm gonna move everyone down a row. I really do think I need to get people stronger to go on these missions. So it's just gonna be a bit of a balancing act trying to get all of these priorities. They say I can do the job of any 2 others together. It's not true. Not quite. So, do I let the restlessness decay for the time and paint? Or do I... Let's read Kiona Abydos. An entity called Kion arrives in the blizzard and demands the city gates are barred. As Abydos falls under her spell, the dead return but do not speak. I think I'm gonna wait. We're gonna do the reputation as a medium for a bit. And I'm just gonna keep exploring. This is a lame way of doing it, but until I can deal with my restlessness, I need to kind of handle some other things, and right now I need to deal with the icy atmosphere as well as some of these other priorities. So, I have a feeling that Moth is going to be the most useful to me right now. So let's get Porter to another level. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. Porter plies his razor and his scissors to the great advantage of his friends. Restlessness. Oh, I didn't realize it was a full minute. Anyways, we can still work with the something menacing, so there's no problems there. Okay, health problems, but we have the vitality to cover it. There's a new fleeting reminiscence, so that gives me an excuse to get rid of the restlessness through painting. Speaking of, we still don't have that staleness, so that's good news. We have a bit as far as money goes, so what I think I'm going to do here, I'm going to try and limit the generation of new mystique. There's a couple of ways I'm going to do that. So we're going to start, and in this time, I'm actually going to keep the mystique that has got the shortest lifespan, and what it means is that all of this stuff is going to be decaying, while these two get preserved. And then, of course, as is tradition, I add the 2 passion. And now for this one, I'm going to use restlessness as an inspiration because I want to get rid of it. And then we're going to be able to use the luxurious memory at my leisure. Or I can just grab another restlessness here. Back to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. My emotions run higher than usual. There are things I'll never understand, and those things will always be precious, but just now I'm closer to them. I recall my dream. This was the Lodge of Blue Silk, flapping in the winds of the bounds at the Mansus edge, and here was its mistress, who welcomed me as she welcomes all travelers. Company is nice, she confided, but I still miss my Christopher. 10 years. 10 years and not enough. But we could not have been long together, not without touching each other. And you know what occurs when a man long lies with a long woman. Or perhaps you don't. I hope you don't. I won't tell you, just in case. I'll give you a tiny gift. Okay, I always just want to take a minute to see if it makes sense. In this case, I'm actually going to wait to heal the sickness. More on Colors of the Night. For 8 years, the city is a place of slow death, frosty ecstasy, and silent beauty. But in the 9th year, a conspiracy of shouts is mounted against the quiet that Kion demands. The conspirators open the city gates, and a scarred man comes to drag Kion out by the hair. Summer returns, but the conspirators die of remorse. So we have no shortage of white ceremonies right now. To upgrade it, I would require erudition or an HQ with a library. And of course, I don't have erudition right now, so I think we're going to wait for the opportunity. Now, ideally, I would have some contentment to deal with the consequences of watching Stum. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to do a translation run. Yeah, I'm just going to translate this stuff, and if I get a contentment, I'm going to watch Stum, and if I get an erudition, which is possible from the Mansus, then I will try and upgrade the white ceremony. So first up, I'm actually going to do the Sanskrit reader. I'll get it off the table. Foreman House, let's go investigate another. I don't normally like having all of these here because if a rival suddenly shows up, then it becomes a liability, but I don't have as many good uses of the Explore verb right now. Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You are not born, your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Porter goes unnoticed until he's ready. So until I get another winter influence, there isn't anything for me to do with the recruits. We'll start by having a chat with Miss Nania about my other memories. And then I'm going to try and bring some more people into the cult. Okay, so we've got an affliction, but we have the vitality to fix it. probably going to lose this fleeting reminiscence, unfortunately, but again, in the worst case scenario, we just go back to the white door and spam it until we find restlessness. This is something special, it may provoke a reaction. Alright, it's drawn attention, something should sell. I've got the contentment, which means I can watch Stum now. Actually, I can't because the contentment's going to go away too soon. So yeah, I didn't really think that through. Ah, well. Let's see what I can do. So I'm going to try 4 passion on this one. This will potentially hurt. Forgotten colors. I remember colors that are gone from this world. I dare not reproduce them faithfully, even if I could. But I could pay tribute to them if I had a canvas worthy of the task. Okay, so that seems to indicate that I need to get some kind of a canvas. Miss Nina says nothing. Silence pools like shadow beneath the galley lamps. Alright, so that gives me another chance to upgrade, not upgrade, but, oh no, yeah, we'll improve one of the followers. Let's go, seeing as Sin is, I think Sin is here, still here rather, we will upgrade Neville, because I think she would be angry at me if I didn't. So Neville pauses before he speaks and flinches easily. He's sensitive to deeper matters. So again, this is not enough, but we add the extra winter, and my follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. So we'll lose the cemetery, but we don't have any of the graveyard mouths, so there's not too much to worry about on that front. Materials. Ah, so I do need another corpse. One is the artist or one is the canvas. Today I am the artist. This will take a while and will occupy the work verb while you are preparing the canvas. Orthos wood. Okay, so I actually think we're going to be able to pull out a corpse. No, we're not going to be able to. A pity. But at the very least, we have enough time to grab a body. Okay, Sanskrit's in, so let's... Fascination's coming up. I'm going to wait the 2 seconds. If we don't have a Season of Despair coming up, I think I'm going to risk watching Stum. Okay, so it's notoriety. I have options if it does come to a point where I think I'm going to fall to dread. So a can of nitrate film labeled Stum, silent or perhaps mute. The director's name, Jurnek Krosser, is shakily appended. The film rattles through the projector. It glows silently on the wall. It is the story of a foolish student of forbidden sciences who recruits a dancer to entice the dead back into the world through a flaw in its skin. It's a fiction, but here on the title card is laid out the operation of the declining sun. So I think this will give me a little more access to upgrading followers. Obviously, it's the something unexpected that we'll deal with next. The world can wait a little longer for the Palest painting. It has already waited so long. So I need to make sure that the work verb is available immediately because the investigator's not going to like a corpse lying around and we have less mystique than we normally do. By design, of course. Okay. Oh, you know what? I may not actually have an option on this. Let's see again. Yeah, so this is going to take 20... Wow! I better be really close on that time. Actually, you know what? They're going to snatch it up no matter what. I didn't even think of that. Okay, this will actually get... This is going to get a little exciting. Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You are not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Neville's gaze has grown furtive. His voice is sometimes shrill. He speaks freely of his dreams. So it's nice to have a reasonably high-level Nock follower. Let's have a chat with Miss Nania about something unexpected. Miss Nania's expression is difficult to read today. I have become conscious of her eyes, her mouth, the lines of her face as separate objects, conjunct only by chance, like the contents of someone's pockets emptied onto a table. It's really interesting. So one of the things that I've been doing for the last little while has been reading art. So I've been reading, for those of you interested in the book I'm studying it with, I got lucky on that. They completely... So the original plan is, okay, 20, I've just got to pause fast enough, but it doesn't matter because if they want to take the corpse, they can, because it can just get pulled out of the material slot. But yeah, for the art, I've been reading The Story of Art by Ernst Gombrich. It's a really good one. It's in his introduction, he says that he's writing for a teenaged audience, but the idea is that the writing shouldn't really be any different than for an adult audience, except that, of course, that usually youth tend to be a little more a little more critical, and they don't necessarily have the same. So like, I'll admit, so if I read a paper by Kenneth Arrow, who's like one of the greatest economists to ever live, chances are I'm not going to be very critical of it, because essentially every time Kenneth Arrow wrote something, he could probably win another Nobel off of it. Now this isn't entirely true. I won't say what the paper was, but I was doing something with one of my profs, and we both sort of looked to each other, and I'm like, and it was actually a Nobel Prize winning author, and we're both kind of like, it's not his best work, is it? And so, but like the idea is this, right? Like if it's something about art, chances are you're going to give it a certain degree of reverence, especially if you've heard that, like 11 million copies have been sold, or it's by a famous historian or whatever. But anyways, I find it very readable. I find it engaging. It's made me think a little bit about art. And as a result of it, I got a membership to the National Gallery. So this is the nice thing about being in the capital. For instance, there's an exhibit of Gauguin, a bunch of his portraits. Now, the funny thing is, I still haven't quite gotten to the point where I fully, quote unquote, appreciate it. Like, I have looked at a couple of them and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why this is the sort of thing that I would have needed to buy a separate ticket for. But I have been a little more conscious about how I'm looking at art. And so when I see things here, all of these interactions with Miss Nania, I remember actually there was an exhibit on Da Vinci, and it was about sort of this restoration of the Mona Lisa to its, like they were doing this analysis on the different pigments used and what it might have looked like when it was first painted, and doing this analysis of sort of the paintings underneath it. It was a really fascinating exhibit. Of course, at the very end, it has got a reproduction of it, which you can sit and look at. And I remember kind of sitting and sort of taking it in and looking at it as more than just a thing in a book that I heard was very famous. And I've noticed that with my trips to the galleries, I've been a little bit more conscious or thoughtful in terms of how I engage with it, and so. As a result of that, this is, again, we were talking earlier, and we always talk about this for the game, how it, you bring a lot of yourself into the game. So I like The Aspirant because I was in grad school, and, it's a lot like grad school. And apparently this is a very common experience for a lot of people who play this game. They're like, oh yeah, I know what it's like to be poor and miserable and not have any friends, and this game really spoke to me. And I don't think that's quite where they were going, but obviously The Aspirant really connected in a way that some of the others didn't. And I mean, I enjoyed them in their own right, but the fact that you started as The Aspirant and I had a very clear idea about what that person's life was like, I think that was one of the things that really hooked me in. And of course now, obviously I was not doing this stuff when I first played the Ghoul, and I'm now beginning to sort of appreciate this moments with Miss Nania, with this painting, a little bit more than I otherwise would have. And I mean, this is just, it's like reading a good book or really anything else. Like, I think this is one of the best arguments for an education, really. Reading and studying just lets you enjoy the stuff that you're already experiencing even more. So, didn't do art in school, but that doesn't stop me from picking up a book. And as a result of reading that book, I have a little bit of a clearer idea in terms of what's happening in these moments than before, where it's just, very nice reading, and I know there's something going on in the game. But obviously this is just this sort of resonates a little bit more in a way that it previously didn't. Maybe I shouldn't say previously didn't, but like in a way that I sort of connect with some personal experience a little bit more than I previously would have. Miss Nania says nothing, but there in the gallery, I snatch my pen from my pocket, and I write frenziedly as if I had been given directions by someone whispering in my ear. When I follow the directions, I will find something precious. So we've got a piebald pigment from the crushed wings of from the crushed wings of rare Lepidopterans. Painting black or painting white? This is the stuff that'll see you write. So I'm not quite ready to paint insane paintings yet, but it's nice to have in my back pocket. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I am sane, if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions, it's over for now. Okay. The right is depicted in chilling detail. Here is the flaw in the world, an influence shimmering in luminous paint. Here is the dancer establishing an irresistible rhythm. Here the scholar recites the operation. And now the misty dead whirls through the flaw to consume him. The film closes on the dancer's watchful eyes. Had she intended it all from the start? So we knew we were going to get the dread. Hopefully we won't be hurt too badly by it. We have the operation of the declining sun. This invokes, acknowledges, and welcomes the passage to silence. Use this rite with a heart influence and a Byzantine tink to summon the voiceless dead. And sunset rite. The assistant must cry tears of genuine emotion, which are asperged in the place where the influence lies. If all is done well, the sun in rags will consume the influence, acknowledge an ending, and lend its assistance. So I believe the sunset rite allows me to use influence, so this will make summoning a little bit easier. Now, I have a couple decisions to make, so it's fascination coming up next, so again, I have a little more leeway. So in this case, we're going to chat with Nania about something joyful. Miss Nania's eyes are warm, and I do have something that I can study, so I don't have my erudition yet, but that may change in 3 seconds, so let's see what we get first. Okay, don't need the furtive truth, so let's do the Lodge of the Sage Knight. Now, there's a danger that we get fascination, but we have a fleeting reminiscence that we can cancel that with, so... And it's a subtle fracture, which means that I might be able to use this in a summoning. Clouds part, walls creak, old wounds ache. A 6th order influence, significant resonances or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. Last night, in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Gallagher sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Let's keep going through the white door until I actually get some of the leveling up done. It doesn't hurt to try and get some more influence. And study-wise, I think I'm actually going to follow through on my threat to translate all of these. Huh. There are two De Bellis Miro. Oh, it's because I translated one and didn't translate the other. Sneaky. Okay, so let's get this out before I lose the advantage. The poem elliptically describes a war between beasts, weather phenomena, and arcane concepts. It's quite specific about their tactics. I'm just going to make a note of the time that happened so I can chat with someone. 145. Okay. That might be working as intended, but that strikes me as a bug. The preparations must be made in secret in a room that has no windows, but must nevertheless be extremely well ventilated. So of course, we don't have a way of earning money for the next little while. If I get particularly desperate, I can sell Kerner and Gut, and of course I have Poppy Steel available as well. Miss Nania says nothing, but I match her smile. So we didn't have anything to worry about the dread, but this will ensure that the contentment, or that the dread doesn't threaten me anymore. So let's finish with something menacing. Her eyes are watchful. Fermier Abbey merits closer investigation. I'm going to keep exploring on the continent here. And my main motivation, so obviously the subtle fracture is not viable at this point. The idea here is I'm just occupying the, like, this is just to avoid having to use up the explore verb at a time where I may not benefit from it. All right, Miss Nania says nothing, but I remember long afterwards how her eyes flashed. So it seems in general, the main advantage that I get from chatting with Miss Nania is the influence, which is not to be discounted, but I think is probably a little more useful as money for me, right, in the future. So let's try and find some ways that I can use my talk verb without rousing the suspicions of the Suppression Bureau. Let's try and upgrade the existing followers. So, Saliba. You seem like a trustworthy sort. I don't have enough. Cool. So I do need to find something else to... Okay, I'm gonna wait until the Suppression Bureau has done its business. Oh, there's the... yeah. Perfect timing. Last night the white door was bright as a mirror, bright as fresh snow, bright as the migraine moon. I remember its brightness, but I remember its chill the most. I laid my cheek against it, and I still feel the ache of its cold in my skull. Okay. So you know what? Because I know I only get one shot of this, I'm actually going to upgrade Clovette, and that'll just be because they'll be a little more effective at getting rid of the reputation. And De Bellis Mirorum by Slipstos, the 2-1 joined and the horn distinguished, consequently blood. So we've got Chiliarch's lesson, and let's translate. So we've got a bunch of Greek and one Latin. I'll make De Bellis Mirorum at the very end because obviously we already have this now, so we are translating the true and complete accounting of the Asclepian mysteries of the roots of the house, produced by one Riley Gressa from supposedly a much older text in Greek. Seeing as I now know that I'm going to need more. Winter influence. I'm gonna carry on with the white door until we have what we need. And in the meantime, I'm going to have a chat with Clovette about the one true faith. Clovette's determined happiness now borders on the fanatical. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. So 60 seconds and then we can get back to... Oh, but I'm going to lose the fleeting reminiscence, so I'm also not going to have a way of making money as a medium. I was going to chat with Miss Nania, but unfortunately I didn't quite plan everything properly. Obviously I would have lost the winter. I think with the operation of the declining sun, I still would have been able to bring Clovette into the fold, but clearly I don't want that winter to decay into dread. In the worst case scenario, I would have just brought Eau-Claire in, but... Oh yes, and apparently I completely forgot that... I completely forgot to get rid of my dread, and that's now going to come back to bite me when the Season of Despair comes in 4 seconds. So... I'm going to do the Forgotten Chronicle. And then afterwards we're going to have a trip to the Ecdysis Club. The reason I'm doing it in that order is so that the Suppression Bureau can't get mad at me if we wind up with a result. Okay. New icy atmosphere is always good. So basically, if we get unlucky in the RNG, the Ecdysis Club can potentially give me a negative reputation, and then the Suppression Bureau takes an interest. So I'm going to carry on with Explorer like this for 1 tick. Then we'll go to the Ecdysis Club, hopefully get some contentment for that. And then in the meantime, of course, I can just keep doing my upgrade thing. So if I have an icy atmosphere, I'm going to upgrade an existing follower. If I don't have an icy atmosphere, I'm going to upgrade Eau-Claire. And once the Suppression Bureau stops investigating, I'm going to start talking about secret histories again and bring people in. So now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You were not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Clovette's optimism is daunting. She wields her joy like a hammer. All right. Descriptions of the Asclepian mysteries reproduced by one Riley Gressa from supposedly a much older text. It's unlikely to be genuine, but it makes reference to the house without walls and its wood right there in the prologue. So we will continue to translate, and we will bring in... It wouldn't hurt to have a good edge follower. So Rose was in the Vanguard. Well, so yes. Rose is a slimist but loyal. There's obviously less of an urge to upgrade the White Ceremony as well. All right, it is complete. I put so much effort into not having that happen. All right, gives Izabeth something to do. It is complete. One would never know unless one looks very closely indeed. It would be best if the authorities never saw this canvas. Use your memory again the next time you paint, and you'll be able to begin work on the canvas. Well, I'm going to, but I must go very carefully. The memories that I need to convey will take flight from the canvas if I depict them too strongly. I will find those memories in the flesh of the dead, and perhaps even, if I must, in my own dying flesh. That's a hint, and that's alarming. Okay. So again, it's going to be a little tricky money-wise, but we still have the poppy option, so... A forgotten color, and a night blue mansus haze swims a coral palace crown, which yields now and then to the moon. Sorry to hit the mic there. Night blue mantis haze swims a coral palace crown, which yields now and now and then to the moon. At its foredge, it absorbs the lesser names, coating them with its minerals and its juices, and at its rear edge, it expels them, polished like jewels, but not all of them. The others go to feed its thorny tide heart. So considering the evidence, if a hunter has found notoriety, they will try and use it to create or upgrade evidence. If they're meticulous, they'll always succeed. If they're erratic, then they'll more than likely fail, but they can occasionally create evidence even without notoriety. Chateau Reveline, one of the favorite stories of the Comte de Reveline, claim that they descended from the first Sun King. Other stories have them prowling the forest in wolf shape. They are long gone, their rotting chateau remains. Not all of its malignities have been uncovered. So before exploring further, I'm going to go to the Ecdysis Club to try and get some oh, no, I'm not, because I can't afford it. So, more Forgotten Chronicles it is. This, of course, is a risk. There we go. An early night's sleep is a long, dark ocean, but sometimes when we reach the further shore, there is a lamplight. Oh, that's really funny. I didn't, apparently I didn't do the right order, I think. Anyways, The Rose of Nuriel has been translated, a volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that has existed in all histories, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Nuriel and dedicated to Saint Tryphon. And while I'm at it, The Rose of One's Eye. Okay, tentative evidence. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So, sickness coming up. Rose has sharpened her cunning to a concerted point. So what I'm going to do here, we'll set everyone up. Let's switch out the fleeting reminiscence. Once we've done that, I'm going to send Yzabet to go and destroy the tentative evidence. It's less of a reason for me to try and go behind the white door right now, because my talk verb will be used up by Yzabet trying to take out the evidence. And a night blue mantis haze swims a coral. Oh wait, I think we've already read this. Yep. Nothing new. But it has the colors title, and it looks like it's the same. So in the night blue mantis haze swims around the coral palace crown. At its foredge, it absorbs the lesser names, coating them with its minerals and juices, and at its rear edge, it expels some of them, polished like jewels. The others go to feed its thorny tide heart. So in 5 seconds, we'll gain access to restlessness again, and we'll be able to work with the medium job. There we go. Keep cranking it out, folks. And Yzabet. Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Dispose of this, please. My scheme will most likely succeed. There's always a chance that something will go awry. And of course, in that case, we generate notoriety at exactly the time we don't want to have that happen. Okay, this isn't too much of a surprise. We don't have any vitality, unfortunately, though. The unnumbered stones. Megaliths placed in obsessive, inerrant rows by a priest caste long dead. Time has long erased the original bloodstains, but on moonless nights, the locals supplement what remains. Hidden chambers might guard hidden treasures. So we're going to leave that be for now. We've got a fleeting reminiscence, so I can use that in the job if I really want to. I might as well translate it, but I don't need it at the moment. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use the auction house to sell off some of this stuff. This oddity is probably worth something, but it's hard to be sure. Okay, so erudition's not bad. We'll see if we can do an upgrade with it, but in last night's stream, I was in the Lodge of the Sage Knight behind the White Door. It is difficult to remember exactly how I came there, and the mistress of this place, the woman with the dark glasses, was nodding as if I had asked her a difficult question. Of course I hadn't. I had lost my speech when I passed the White Door. How is it that I can speak? She said to me. I didn't come here through the White Door. I'm not proud of what I did to come here, so let me talk to you about something else. Of course, that delicious mystique is already coming back. I don't really have a good way of balancing the restlessness and fleeting reminiscence, so in this case we're just going to keep pounding out the restlessness, and until... Oh, this is a hard one. Okay, we do have the Course of the Heart, so 40 seconds? I think I can wait the 20. We will go back through the White Door. So once I sell the items, I might... Actually, it's likely that I will go and... I'll try St. Agnes Hospital and whatnot. Based on what happened the last time, there are definitely easier tasks than others, and it might mean that I get some wounds, but right now money is probably one of the biggest things constraining me from doing the expeditions, so we'll at least sell the little ones, and I can consider Poppy's offer, but we'll obviously weigh that when the time comes. It's not like a huge choice, it's just by using it at the one point, you cut it off as a possibility in the future. So, my minion has returned, the evidence has been destroyed, I'm a little safer. Okay, that's good news. So, moving right along, we can... we'll use the Forbidden Epic to talk about esoteric matters. And restlessness is coming up, so this illness has damaged my health. I'll need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Cure your affliction with health or funds. Or vitality or funds. Okay. Don't have much to do with contentment right now. It's just because all of the other verbs are currently being worked, so... I did say I was going to save De Bellis Murarum for last because we've already used it, so let's start with the true and complete accounting of the Asclepian mysteries and the roots of the house. This very obviously is not an antique text, but at the very least it has been badly mutilated, but it contains substantial intriguing material, especially a persuasive comparison of the house without walls, without doors, to the human body with its many portals. If I really wanted more restlessness, but here we'll go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight, and fascination. So obviously I would have preferred to get rid of the affliction, but I'm resting with this for now. And I need to get my money up, so we're just going to keep cranking out the restlessness. Obviously the risk is we wind up in that situation we were in with the Weary Detective, where I'm less likely to go on expeditions, and at this point I think I'm just going to accept what comes, but it's not the worst thing in the world right now for me to delay heading in, just because that lets me get my group a little stronger. Okay, but exploration-wise, we've run out of options. So we got Glimmering. If I really want, I can try and double up. So I could try doubling up on the White Ceremony and then the Operation on the Declining Sun. That wouldn't be a terrible approach here. but I'd still need another erudition when the time came. The other alternative is the Megalesian incantation, but it's entirely possible we'll be getting that out of this book. Actually, this is probably no, it's Grailish. So, against my better judgment, St. Agnes Hospital. We'll put the money in. I'll put 2 just because I get it back if there's a surplus. Only echoes walk the hospital halls now, but malice lingers in the air. We must search meticulously room by room. This definitely strikes me as a lantern thing, but I'm going to bring Neville because he's the higher skill. And I'm going to try and upgrade Cat Caro if I can. Come with me. Okay, Graveyard Mouth rears its head. And I don't have any dread, so I don't need to worry about that right now. The direction of death is down, the book explains. The Peacock Door has been considered a rent or an abrasion, but in some respects is more like a mouth, if not a more treasured point of entry. Discussions of the doors include a rite which may conjure creatures through those doors, although key incantations are missing. So we've got the Rite of the Map's Edge. That's another helpful one because it takes influence. And we have Words That Walk, which is not actually an improvement, but hey, I'm filling out my collection. Syllables of this formula are compelling. I find myself snapping my fingers to its rhythm. It desires not to cease. I think we've read this before, but the Operation of the Declining Sun was, this invokes, acknowledges, and welcomes the passage to silence, and Chiliarch's lesson, this is the bone-deep story of the thousand-men learnt in antiquity, of blood and its exits. To speak it aloud is to hear the sword hiss. So, moving right along, The Rose of Nuriel, a volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot. That arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Nuriel and dedicated to Saint Tryphon. The color is one thing, but Saint Tryphon is much more of a Grail thing, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and of course it's talking about the Great Birth, so there we go. Saint Tryphon, Nuriel explains, performs secret miracles in the name of she who bleeds and bears, and she who opens. Thus Saint Tryphon opened the way to the house of the sun. Thus Saint Tryphon underwent the Great Birth, an ascension to immortality. Alright, so that's not the way you heal. Vitality. I think I've just given up on the erudition, obviously. Course of the Heart's always a nice one. Oops. So of course the job as a medium right now winds up being a bit of protection from what happens in the... So we'll need Heart or Lantern to suppress this curse, otherwise it will not keep us from our goal, but it may trouble us later. So we will add Dorothy and Leo. And that'll bring us up to 9 heart. I think that will just be 1 shy of what we need. I seem to remember that's actually a pretty vicious one if we fail, but... The particular taste, the taste which is neither fair nor foul, it comes to trouble my mouth again. My tongue will swell, my lips will blacken. The elixir has set its spores within me, and only dead flesh can quell them. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. I think it's time to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Surviving Mars, if you'd like to watch that. Friday we'll maybe consider Night Team 4, or maybe we'll play Darkest Dungeon again. I really hope that Johnny Big Time Guy doesn't come by, because I know I say I like him when he visits the channel, but it's kind of hard, right? It's just he's kind of a small caster, and he seems like he's trying really hard, and I really want to encourage him, but it's hard. Like, I just don't want him to throw away his life on this whole thing. Johnny, how you doing? No, we're not done tonight. I'm deciding to stomp all over his very lovely host. Thank you very much for your host, Johnny. For those of you who do not know, my favorite caster on Twitch, Johnny Big Time, is a cook by trade, an entertainer by calling. He has been going through The Witcher 3. He's now on... What was it's some like wine one? Anyways, he's playing the DLC. Apparently people like The Witcher 3. It's, you know, some Lord of the Rings clone or something like that, only it takes place in Poland. And the main character was written by a 15-year-old because, like, he has superpowers and apparently has sex and never gets, like, STDs or pregnancy or anything like that. I don't know. It's something that you guys probably like, but... Blood and Wine. Thank you, Johnny. Anyways, Johnny's actually been... I do kind of want to play The Witcher. It's just some of the stuff I see and then I'm like, really? Johnny is a hell of a lot of fun to watch. This is getting a little old now, but we did do a... I don't know if calling him a cook is like a slight, if I need to call him a chef. A food executive. A gourmand. I guess a gourmand would be someone who visits a chef. No. Anyways. Johnny co-casted A Way Out with me. I had a ton of fun playing it with him. I'm sure he had a good time too, despite all of his complaining. He didn't complain one bit. Although he does make me feel really guilty for how it ended. I had a great time with it. It didn't seem to quite get the attention on YouTube that I was really hoping for, but the people who did see it had very kind words to say, and a large component of that really was Johnny's contribution. So if you haven't checked him out, please do. He is someone I like so much that he's actually got his own command. Oh, really? Did I actually make... I don't think I have. No. I'm going to change this right now. But if you need an excuse to watch him, you can check out that clip right there. I'd say that is a fairly decent representation of just how fun and funny his channel can be. And it seems to come effortlessly to him. Like, I know he does, like, from my conversations with him, I know exactly how much effort he puts into his broadcast. He is a very hardworking individual on top of all the other stuff that he, that he, you know, he does. But, yeah, Johnny never really ceases to amaze me in terms of just how he makes some of the stuff that I struggle at seem really, really straightforward. Like, he's really someone who seems to be sort of a born entertainer. And we sometimes have very different some very different tastes in games, and sometimes they line up perfectly. But he's always been a lot of fun to watch, and I really want to go out of my way to sort of promote his channel, just because it's one that I enjoy a lot. And I know it's really easy to sort of, for people to say, it's like, oh, hey, this person hosted me, so yeah, go check him out. They're like the best streamer on Twitch. But he is someone that I give my strongest recommendation for, especially if it were to be someone who's like, well, why do people watch people play video games on the internet? That sounds boring. Johnny is the one who I show them to sort of explain why people like, Johnny's the one who I use to sort of promote the idea that it is actually fun to watch. Sorry, I was just updating the commands. No problem, Johnny. I was slightly distracted at the end, but you know what I meant. And anybody from Johnny's cast, you're all right too, because you came with him. And if you didn't come from if you were from Johnny's cast and you're about to close the window, I didn't need you anyway. Tell me who you are, and I will threaten to ban you, even though I have no power in his channel. Rhaenyra has been found not guilty 3 times in 3 separate jurisdictions. She will likely never be found guilty of anything. So the question is, do I want to try and bring more people into the cult, or do I want to try and upgrade them? I think in this case we'll bring people in, and when I get another winter influence, then we can start we can start working on bringing them up. I'll just repeat this. Eclair has a scholarly aspect and a morbid streak, which we will of course encourage with the White Ceremony. This one is ready. We carry enough heart to aspect to quell this curse? Probably. So yeah, Leo's assistance didn't help, but I'm adding them anyway. How you doing, Valken? I love the combos that you come up with. Sorry, I thought you were someone else for a second. I love the combos that you come up with in terms of your emotes. I sort of want to know exactly how many people you are subscribed to, but you have got a very robust library of emotes. Saint Tryphon began his ascension. Wait, his? By passing the horn door. He continued it by learning the invocation Thyatic, which Nuriel does not here record on account of his extreme holiness, and Nuriel explains grimly to achieve the 7 marks of the Great Birth, Saint Tryphon consumed both those whose soul had left them, even those in whom the soul remained. So we've got the Iguvine Rite. Every door in the Mantis requires its sacrifice before it will open. The Iguvine Rite prescribe the manner of the sacrifice. Just for and some gifts. Okay, you've got your well-chosen subs then. And the Megalesian incantation, the Great Mother remembers. Maybe it's the Great Birth that turned. Maybe I just don't understand Saint Tryphon as well as I thought. Anyways, we got our health back, so we go back through the white door, and we'll read the Rose of Wanzai, the heretical teachings of a disgraced offshoot of the Sisterhood of the Knot, the arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories. This was recorded by Wanzai and dedicated to Saint Respicius. The offshoot favored by Wanzai, the true sisterhood, followed Saint Respicius in pursuing ascension in the name of the door in the eye, the merciless hour of light. Saint Respicius failed, and perhaps the larger sisterhood tracked him down and ritually strangled him, but Wanzai outlined steps for those who hope to succeed. One thing... I really like that, Valken. One thing that's so interesting about this game, so obviously... Sometimes this happens with David Lynch. Like, people will watch a David Lynch movie and it'll be like, okay, I can do something weird. And, you know, if you just do something sufficiently weird, it's Lynchian. I don't really think you can say the same thing about Cultist Simulator, but one of the things that's so neat, like, if somebody's just like, is like, well, it's deliberately obscure and, you know, there's no plan behind it, it's just so that nerds like you can pretend that there's a deeper meaning and stuff like that. Keep in mind, right, that as the DLC has gone on, we've actually seen more and more. Like, we're getting to see how all this stuff hangs together. So, for instance, Saint Respicius here, that's obviously referenced later in The Priest. So sure, you can say, well, they're just doing the Lost thing and they've built out this scaffolding and they're just coming up with whatever references they can, and it never actually goes anywhere. But this is the whole thing, is that while I probably couldn't come even close to telling you guys exactly what's going on in Cultist Simulator, one of the most rewarding things about the DLC has been to get a little bit of a closer sort of glimpse at what's going on, but more importantly, to see how they all relate. So, like, Tryphon has always been related to Grail. You know, things that should be Nock are Nock, and so essentially these books haven't really changed, but like Saint Respicius always keeps coming up in The Priest, and The Priest obviously has this heavy Nock element to it. Sorry, I really need my water today. So I don't know, it's been really cool to go back and read some of these things that were always kind of just hiding in plain sight. And it's one of the things that's kind of made this game. So, like, obviously in terms of, I haven't done like all of the endings and things like that, but obviously in terms of like the gameplay experience. The ghoul is really the last thing where it's going to be, I've seen a bunch of mechanics which I haven't seen before, and I'm not quite sure how they work. Otherwise, what I'm effectively going to be working with here is the fact that this is a really interesting game. I like the combinations. I like learning more about the existing material, but essentially I'm going to be finding sort of new passageways, and things like the romance and whatnot I'll be doing a little bit more often and whatnot. But, you know, the DLC did a little bit more of that. Like, that was really, there's new mechanics, and those mechanics are actually sort of reinforced by the ideas that have always been present inside of the game, but we're now learning a little bit more about them. And it's one of the things that I think has just really sort of sold me on this whole world. And of course, it's one of the things that makes the Book of Hours so exciting, because this really rich world that it exists in, we get an entirely new perspective of it. It's almost, I'm going to, so I don't really know that much about the Book of Hours yet, but I'm going to go so far as to say that Hush House in the Book of Hours is like the Continental in John Wick. And I want to pretend that you play John Wick, but in reality, it's probably closer to Winston. But yes, Johnny, if you want a reason to play the follow-up game to this one, which will be on Kickstarter on September 3rd, it is the John Wick of cultist simulator games. All right. Eau Claire is quiet, meticulous, and remorseless. Not unlike John Wick. Huh? The curse shrivels. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. Good news. So at this point, we're just going to wait. I'll obviously get the refund of the gold, or funds, but at this point, I'm really just waiting for the expedition to finish. Paid my fee. It's difficult to say whether I've earned it. Fortunately, it's difficult for them to say whether I've earned it too. So again, we'll just keep churning out the money. Rhaenyra continues to pursue her appetites discreetly, though her ambitions have grown. This will carry on as such. I think I'm going to just try and bring someone else in. If we wind up with an influence, that's going to be unfortunate, but I think I can still probably make it work. So that'll be a second level of Graveyard Mouth. Oh, actually, maybe we don't. Maybe it's just the one that we have. That's right, because I got, I was at -1 because of the, I was at -1 because of the words, come on. The one that got me the palest canvas. By the way, I always mess this up. And I don't know if people have just been decent enough that they've not pointed it out, or nobody checked. So there were 2 songs on the original Cultist Simulator prototype. One of the composers, and actually one of the songs I was familiar with, and that is by Ligeti. But the funny thing is that I always thought the Mansus music was the Ligeti piece, and I had not heard it before. And I have been completely wrong about that. And I've actually referred to it as a Ligeti song when it is not. It is, and like, it's always been like the day afterwards, because I actually have some of it on my music player. Because like I've got an Apple Music account, so like basically you have access to everything. You actually have access to the Cultist Simulator soundtrack through that, but you can buy it with the, like if you buy the bundle, not only is it cheaper than buying the individual components, you own the soundtrack as opposed to rent it from whatever music service you use. But it's always been this terrible loop of like, I've said it, I'm going through and I'm like, oh, where's that Cultist Simulator song? And I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not what it was. But it's always a couple of days after the stream and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I switched it again, and I've never, so far as I can tell, nobody's actually said, hey, you moron, it's not the song. I actually don't remember the name of the piece, but I wrote it down. If you give me a second, I'll find it. Actually, Google might just be as easy. Let me see. I've been trying to like get better at Emacs, so I like put all my notes in there as well, but I don't always remember the file names that I... Yeah, actually, better still, it's in the Steam forums, not worth looking for it. Nocturne and Tarantella by Karol Zyamowski. Yeah, if you don't know, Ligeti is not a name that you might remember. If you've watched 2001 A Space Odyssey, you will have heard his work, but he's a Hungarian composer, and yeah, anyways, I don't believe that piece is actually in this version of the game, but obviously the other one stayed in. I think it was supposed to be just placeholder originally. Anyways, doesn't matter. Last night in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Gallagher sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Okay, I don't have anything to do in dreams at the moment, so we will jump back into the White Door. Seek in dreams, seek the Mansis. The third mark can be achieved only when one has passed the Stag Door. One must pass the wood. One must rise to the White Door. The Stag Door awaits the Lightbearer in the sight of Gearby. Okay. Final step, De Bellis Mirorum. The poem elliptically describes a war between beasts, weather phenomena, and arcane concepts. It's quite specific about their tactics. Of course, we'll be earning our notoriety off of this, but not much to be done about that. More delicious grail. More importantly, more money. I think we'll plow straight into the Forgotten Mithraeum. All right, there's the graveyard mouth. I won't jump in to do anything about it yet, but we know we have it. I'll see if I can do anything about the subtle fracture. I might actually have, there might be a cost that's a little higher than I'm willing to bear for it, just because I've got a restlessness which is dying, and a season of despair which is coming up. But I'll have to make a decision on that. There is a padlocked cupboard in the wall. It does not long resist our strength. It contains instruments tipped with flint and glass, instruments one would not expect a surgeon to use. It contains other matters of more interest to us too. I should have read this one before. What was this place? The door bore no sign. There were no windows. The walls were painted a rich violet, rich even now after the ravages of rain through the leaking ceiling. A rotting chair has leather straps on the arms. The floor is porcelain and runneled. Okay, so we've got Leo, notoriety, Dorothy, money, Neville, Clovette, and we have got a copy of The Locksmith's Dream, stained gloves, rose pearl dust, the Rose of Hypatia, and the empty hospital as a potential location. So the stained gloves, what uses have these known? What lessons might they teach my hands? Level 4 Grail tool. Rose pearl dust. Pearls are sacred to the witch and sister, especially those of this color. They have been used in protective rites, among others. The Locksmith's Dream Trespasses. The third volume of Teresa Gallagher's examination of the parallels and mystic dreams of artisans. And the Rose of Hypatia, marked with the tripled sign of the arcane contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot in Greek. Forgotten Mithraeum. Curiosity seekers have picked over this ancient temple, but there may be a hidden door here somewhere. So, as before, money. This definitely seems like a Neville job, but we'll add Cat Caro just in case. I'm convinced the Mithraeum still holds secrets that its discoverers never found. It's unlikely to be dangerous, but the search will require funds. Okay, so Season of Despair is upon us. So I have 37 seconds on the restlessness, but a minute to get my my talk verb back. So if I did the sunset right, I could use the subtle fracture, and a Callagine would be really helpful here. It'd be significant forge that I need, okay. The way I don't think I have enough I don't have enough lantern to get this done. Okay, so I can bring in the dead if I really need, but can I bring in a percussagant? No. Well, maybe. I can bring in a percussagant, but I would lose the restlessness. And yeah, I'm going to resist the temptation for now, but I'll keep it in mind. Especially because those summons are going to become very helpful in my expeditions, so. Sickness is coming up, but I'll have the vitality to handle it. I don't want more restlessness, so favor from authority it is. I've learned something that will earn me favor once only. Where'd I put Douglas, by the way? Oh, he's right here. Yeah, we'll keep that. No, we'll put that up here, actually. Same story as before, just... each time I roll the dice, it's just another chance for me to potentially upgrade a follower early, or a chance for me to what am I trying to say? So the worst case scenario is I get something that's easy for me to handle. I can use either the Fleeting Reminiscence to get rid of it, or I can upgrade a follower with the Winter. So the harms are manageable. And then the benefits, of course, are I wind up with a better team to go through all these locations. But you'll also notice that I'm sort of throwing caution into the wind here and saying, all right, well, you know, we may generate notoriety, we may have a little bit of a thin lineup at the moment, but we're going to try and move forward because obviously we sort of know that progress is going to be happening by fulfilling expeditions, and then more importantly, it just gives us stuff to do. So if I start losing followers, we'll maybe reconsider that strategy, but for now we're just going to keep reading books and finding ways to get more books. So, Locksmith's Dream trespasses. It would help if I put that on the right verb. In this volume, notoriously, Gallagher's prose begins to disintegrate, and it is not clear which dreams are in fact her own. Alright, hidden door. Hidden doors can be found with lantern or knock. Knock by far is my stronger of the two. But of course it's not guaranteed. I have... You know, I just have Neville here, so, and if it turns into a lantern run, then it's pretty much hopeless. Like, I don't see us getting the two out of that, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky. Before we do, I'm just gonna keep making the most of this restlessness. And we'll get some erudition, but I don't want to upgrade any of this lore right now. I think we're just going to go and obtain as much as we can. Strathcoin, I know we are going to have to deal with some more bad guys, so it wouldn't hurt if I could upgrade Porter before we go after it. Call upon the beach crow who opens the earth. We are skilled in uncovering hidden ways. We'll probably find this hidden door. That sounds more like a lantern thing than a knock. Unfortunately, this vitality is going to go away before I need it. Dusty facts have become clear in my brain for now, and we have found Victor, who's another edge. So, I'm going to take a... I think we said Eau Claire was not able to be upgraded. Oh, they are. Okay, my follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. Eau Claire is quiet, meticulous, and remorseless. We'll just level them up right now. Ideally, I'll find some way of getting another vitality. Okay, icy atmosphere. This is going to be running a little close, but what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to upgrade... Oh, sorry, Porter's already level 5. We're fine with Strathcoins then. Rose is already 5. Probably Valsine or Cat Caro should be the next major upgrade. Unless I can do something insane with Eau Claire, but I would be very surprised if I could pull that off. So this time I'm going to go through the white door again, just because it does give me a chance to potentially ping the Course of the Heart. The woman in the sand-colored robe has told me the stairways of the Mansis go ever up, death is down. The mother of ants guards both directions with each of her heads, and so the passage must always be through a wound. I think the white door might be a wound. That's the one reason the dead sometimes pass it. I think I have the other half of the secret now, and I hope that my reader can put both halves together. Can you put it together, chat? Do you know how to go through the white door? The Rose of Hypatia. First, we need to translate it. Where is it? We could use more knock or lantern. Okay. Hopefully somebody doesn't get wounded. Grail. Or, well, specifically Glimmering. Again, it's not the end of the world if I have to spend money to heal the wound. It's just one of these cases where, you know, why incur the cost if you don't have to? Alright, now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You were not born, your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Leclaire rarely speaks. She chooses her words with care. Even her movements have become economical. She is never seen to blink. Okay, in 11 seconds I'm going to get my affliction healed. This is kind of just wishful thinking more than anything. Yeah, it's 21st intensity, so we're still a ways off. But, so we've got Clovette, Eau Claire, Rose, Valsine needs an upgrade. Yeah, so I might have preferred to put Lantern up first, but obviously we've got an expedition going and this thing's only going to last for another 11 seconds. So we will get ourselves a fancier forge. So Valsine's ingenuities are endless and her grip is stronger than a blacksmith's. Apologies to Laidlaw, by the way, who always seems to play second fiddle to Valsine. But as it happens, I always get her first, so... My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. One thing I am slightly curious about, by the way, is whether or not you lose the affliction after doing that. That would be horrible, but you never know. It's looking less and less likely that we're going to get the Course of the Heart. That was badly timed on my part. A volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Hypatia and dedicated to Saint Nympha. Saint Nympha is described as not born but cultivated. The sentience that became a saint, Hypatia indicates, inhabited a sinner's corpse in order to enable the sinner's redemption. I have no idea why it fast-forwarded, but that was terrifying. Okay, so I do have a little more time with my affliction. I'm actually going to risk it and go through the white door one more time. In worst case scenario, I just have to spend money to get rid of it. But if I'm lucky, we'll get some kind of a Course of the Heart or something like that, and then I'll have the vitality to work my way through. So Course of the Heart can come from... definitely can come from restlessness. It can come from going through the stag door because of the health. And presumably if I were to try and level up some of the heart followers. Valsine is not a machine. We are reasonably confident of that, because she has been observed now and then to commit quite human errors. Okay. As far as things that I can do are concerned, probably just chatting with potential fall. Well, I can bring Victor into the fold, which is smarter for me to do right now. I don't really need more edge, so we will try and fill the ranks. Especially too, because obviously bringing Victor into the cult is potentially something that will, that'll allow me to get rid of a sort of a negative feature that's causing problems. You know, I could just let this restlessness decay into something. Yeah. Here's a slightly unusual way of handling this. So we're going to get Matchless Physique. This restlessness is going to decay into dread, which then will turn this into a fleeting reminiscence, which we can then convert with Miss Nania. So not all the dead enter the Mansis by the winter door. Not all the dead enter the Mansis at all. And so we've gained a Wood Whisper and Words That Walk. And we're out of things to study, so supplies are low. Yeah, that's a shame. I am going to add more money. So this dread will even out the fascination. We'll get a fleeting reminiscence at the end of it, which I can then convert into restlessness. And I'm working with my hands, which hopefully gives me vitality. Last night, the white door was as bright as a mirror, bright as fresh snow, bright as the migraine moon. I remember its brightness, but I remember its chill the most. I laid my cheek against it. I feel the ache of its cold against my skull. Or in my skull. So this one's going to be unfortunate because it's going to take a full minute to get the next level of this. So we're not going to have the full icy atmosphere, but hopefully the operation of the declining sun will still be enough for me to push ahead with some of my other cultists. Okay, that's working as intended. And the question is, will I have vitality in time? I'm going to leave the dream open. If I was a little sharper, I could have just studied my health and I would have gotten the vitality that way. There's not much else for me to do with that right now, so I'm not going back to the Mantis until I get the affliction dealt with, just to avoid it from turning into decrepitude. So this is going to be second level of Graveyard Mouth. And they say I can get the job of any two other... I can do the job of any two others together. It's not true. Not quite. So now I get the free... So the way to think about this one is that this actually got me 2 funds. One in the form of the money that's going in here, but second of all, in terms of the mitigation of a cost. Now here's an interesting idea. So if I were to study the icy atmosphere, yeah, that's the challenge. I don't have the other half of the equation. It'd be clever, but I don't have the influence, so it won't count for anything. I suppose I could still work instead of being a layabout. Oh, you know what? I can do my commissions. I'm not like drowning in money, but now seems a good enough time to get this work done. Oh, it's reason and passion. This may be useful for a commission. Can I do... I don't think I can do a very substantial lantern, though. Alright, mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I am sane, if that means anything. No fascination drives your visions. It's over for now. So it looks we've got another season of ambitions coming up. So that's going to be level 3 Graveyard Mouth when the time comes. Faint lines in stone, a surface that yields pressure. We found it. The hidden door moves with a grating shudder and shower of dust. So it's not the worst thing in the world that took us a while to get through it, because of course we'll be losing the notoriety in time. Oh, and that's only 2 levels of Graveyard Mouth, so we've got plenty of time. I mean, now wouldn't be a terrible time for me to take advantage of that, but I don't need to, so... Oh no, sorry, there is the third, right. So it is third once this thing is done. I was just losing track of time. Okay, I finished the manuscript. Good news there, although my planning wasn't too good because I didn't leave enough space to get the commissions everywhere. Come with me. Tristan. So that's going to be another lantern. That's welcome because we're a bit light on lantern followers right now. In this case, I do need to deal with the chilly atmosphere, so... I think in this case... I'm going to level up Rhaenyra. Because that'll give us another option for guards. Arguably, you could say the same for Edge, but the thing is that I know I can summon a Percussagant, so Edge is not the hardest thing for me to pick up right now. So let's first of all see if this will actually work. So this time I need to use the operation of the declining sun. And we do have enough, so my follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. Now, so it's going to take me a minute. But then I lose the fleeting reminiscence. Tricky. Okay. Then... Well, no, actually there is a way I can fix that. So we'll hang on to our Mystique. This time I'm going to bank a little more on my reputation. We preserve the fleeting reminiscence by painting it, which will allow us to convert it to restlessness, which in turn will allow me to continue my work as a medium. Oh, and no reason I shouldn't be going through the door. So it's slow progress through the expeditions, but we're making it. It's so interesting to see. The thing that eluded me was just the fact... I mean, obviously I was holding back on the expeditions because I didn't have that much in terms of followers, but I obviously was holding back too, trying to say, it's like, well, I don't really know what the ghoul is supposed to do yet, so let's just get the lay of the land before I try and come up with a goal. And if I had somehow rushed the expeditions, it would have been, you know, a lot clearer in terms of what the progression is. Well, I'm assuming at least. I mean, maybe the pale canvas is just some giant red herring, but it seems like the kind of thing that that's central to the story. So, a lonely space, musty with the memory of blood. We have found the hidden door that the highest grades of initiate used. So the altar tilts back like a jaw. Behind its pyramid, behind it is the pyramid space, where only the sun hunters and dawn givers might go. But others have been here too, and much more recently. They've left their treasures. All right, so these will be helpful because these are actually pretty strong winter tools. So I can't remember if I can use them. I think I can use them in the ritual. Elgabalane Manacle, it does not relinquish its grip, so that's going to be 8 winter influence that I can bring in. Refulgen, a white so pure that it remains visible even in utter darkness. Cracked Noonstone. Noon, as the saying goes, is not what it was, but this stone still retains an embery glow. It has been cracked. A forge-aspected follower could restore it with sufficient resources, or I could use up what power remains in it. And we have the empty Mithraeum, so unfortunately no books. So this, eventually I'm going to get Valsine to repair. I can't do that now, though, because I have... I don't have the Spintrea. That'll be the thing that I do after recruitment. What I'm going to do here, so Strathcoins, we know that there are going to be people defending it. So we'll bring Saliba and Yzabet, and the reasoning behind that is that I get to pick which approach I take. Mr. Strathcoin is forbidden entry to his library. Unfortunate. Let's see what we can do. So obviously we're a bit short on money. I need to keep an eye on that. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will buy something. We did all right. Oops. So 3 funds is certainly nothing to be upset about. I'm gonna wait so that I can get the timings a little bit better. Actually, no, I'm not. It doesn't hurt if I just leave the work verb. It does if I let the restlessness roll by, though. All right. Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You are not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Rhaenyra commands admiration wherever she goes. She reserves her attentions for those who merit admiration in return. So that's level 5 Grail. Next step is going to be to, 1, I should bring Tristan in, 2, I should bring Cat Caro in. But before I do anything, I should have a chat with Miss Nania about this fleeting reminiscence so I can turn it into restlessness and as a result be able to make money as a medium. Now, Season of Suspicion's coming up. Not a moment too soon for me to get access to the restlessness because obviously I want to be generating... oh, game. Obviously I want to be generating that mystique to drown out the notoriety as quickly as I can. I recall my dream. This was the Lodge of Blue Silk, flapping in the winds of the bounds at the Mansis edge, and here was its mistress, who welcomed me as she welcomes all travelers. Company is nice, she confided, but I still miss my Christopher. 10 years! 10 years and not enough. But we could not have been long together, not without touching each other. And you know what occurs when a man long lies with a long woman. Or perhaps you don't. I hope you don't. I won't tell you, just in case. I will give you a tiny gift. Sorry, just taking a minute to think. I'm going to go through the white door again. It is a little disappointing that I'm not able to make better use of the study verb right now, but that's life. Alright, mortals, perhaps even ordinary mortals, but quite a number of them. They could be fought, seduced, or deceived, so we'll add Porter. Miss Nania acknowledges that all will pass, even memory, but that memory can be passed like a torch or a treasure. Okay, let's bring in Tristan. This one is ready, so Tristan dislikes distractions. Tristan gets things done. Oh wait, Tristan might be a forge. Why can't I remember? I don't know, we'll find out what they are in a minute, but... It'll be like that, Lawrence of Arabia battlefield video. I'll get people coming in as like, oh my god, don't you know that Tristan is the whatever aspect? Against the Watchers, a powerful deception. Look closer. Closer still. Closer! Keep looking. Closer. Now close your eyes. Could also add Grail. I mean, I'll add... Oh, interesting. We only get 7? Did I forget to upgrade Saliba? I did forget to upgrade Saliba. That's why. Okay, so there was only ever one option, as it turns out. Probably just as well that I brought both halves in then. Tristan is Forge. Tristan dislikes distractions. Tristan likes results. I don't really need another edge follower right now. I mean, I will bring Victor in, but if I'm going to use my talk verb, it's better for me to find more people. More of the same here, just using as much of my job to generate the mystique that will keep me out of jail. This will probably be fascination. No, it's favor from authority. I actually probably could have used that. Light dews the skin and suffuses the air. A 6-order influence, significant resonances, or correspondences. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. So, the challenge here is that I could use this to summon a hint, but I would need to keep my work verb open to use that, and then I need to convert the restlessness into something that wouldn't decay into dread. So, that's potentially an option. What I'll probably wind up doing with this lantern is just including it in one of the rituals and nullifying the fact that it'll turn into fascination. The invisible arts, Christopher Lopoli is said to have remarked, are as profitable as macrame, as ethical as tobacco smuggling, and in general as beneficial as roulette. Still, there's always the Orchard of Lights, and indeed the orchard, with its glowing fruit and its peaceful mists, is a place to be yearned for. Last night I walked there in the peaceful hours of the deep night. Even after waking, I still carry with me a little of the glory of the old sun. Let's keep going. And probably, I think I'm just going to wind up throwing this one away. Especially because if I want to deal with the restlessness, this will decay to like a level 2 by the time I get my hands on it. They are more cunning and numerous than we'd expected. This will end in blood for us. Hopefully it's Saliba. If it's anyone else, this thing is done. And we're in a rather dangerous position with the notoriety. So I'll have at least... Nope, we'll be even on the table with those. Okay, nobody got hurt. Yeah, so I think I'm fairly confident we'll do okay with the moth. This is going to go into recruiting whoever. Last night in the great pavilion above the grey sprawl of the Bounds, a woman who once called herself Teresa Gallagher sat on gilt-fringed cushions and offered me a horn cup of dream wine. The wine is imaginary, she explained, but the cup is not. To navigate the Mansis, one must understand the distinction. Perhaps one day you'll join me on the pilgrimage, or I'll join you. So here, let us share a secret. And her breath tickled my ear. Okay, again, more money. One thing I can do, given the frequency with which I can get restlessness from the Mansis, I could paint with this thing and try and summon something with the subtle fracture. The challenge that I have is right now, the stuff that I can summon reliably is not really all that much better than what I can already work with. Obviously having a high edge is always nice, but in this particular case here, I sort of want to be generating as much mystique as I can, and so I think it makes a little more sense for me to hang on to this restlessness and sort of take the opportunities as they come up through the white door. Really, what I'm mostly interested in from the white door is the winter influence. Everything else is sort of a secondary consideration. So we'll see whether or not this pays off. I think probably the next order of events will be drop off the commission to Madame Bichet if I can. It depends on how long this... it's probably better for me to neutralize that, to be honest. So vitality, again, we'll just keep going with the medium. For the same reasons that this always generates money for us, we should always be one ahead in terms of mystique. So this should be this should be increasing as long as I'm generating money. Jesus. That's a pretty high amount of moth to have at this level, I feel like, but the game is indifferent. So I'm going to have to pay up for this. Hopefully we don't pay in a lost... Hey, Pope Clifton. Okay, new lantern. This does change things a little bit, though, because we now have old, unhappy, far-off things. So the way I'm going to handle this is, number 1, Pope Clifton, welcome to the family. We are going to use the Consciousness of Radiance, as well as the White Ceremony. A bellowing and unorthodox Catholic with a mystic streak and an untrimmed beard. This one is ready. So once this is done, I'm going to open up painting. I'm actually mildly tempted to use the notoriety in this case. Icy atmosphere. Cool. So obviously my commission's not going to be going in anytime soon, but I can work with this. So we don't have any staleness, so I'm really going to push my luck here. Oh, not 4. So obviously this thing's going to be decaying for a while, but it's what I've got. That's just so it goes where it's supposed to when I get rid of the... So here we'll spend the money. We haven't gotten a wounded follower yet. If it's Yzabet, that might be a little scary. If it's anyone else, we should be okay. So again, we're going to lose some time on this thing, but I'm painting away one of the restlessness. I will speak only in exactly 9 words. The novice will speak none at all. Now Clifton improvises new prayers rich with solar metaphors. He still shouts like a soldier and drinks like a sailor. So he'll go there with Cat Caro. And of course, now that we have the icy atmosphere, we're able to get a higher level of... You know what? I normally would do this for Lantern, but if we lose one of the moth, we're going to need a backup. So let's... Oops. Oh, damn it. Right. It's Saliba that's... So Rhaenyra is the better one. I thought that we had upgraded Saliba before. Okay, well, Cat Caro gets the upgrade then. That's a shame. This will actually really cause me some problems if one of the moth gets taken out. Okay, this will turn into a fleeting reminiscence in a minute. This is cutting it really close. And we got nothing for it. Yikes. But at least we didn't get any staleness. I suppose that's a benefit. But yeah, so that maybe... I mean, it mitigated a potential threat, but that really wasn't worth it. So the intensity of radiance is going to be another stumble potentially. But again, if I bring Victor into the fold, that's an easy enough way of eliminating it. Their bewilderment is our opportunity. We'll pass in silent secrecy. Okay, so nobody got wounded and we've overcome the enemy. And unfortunately, it looks like Douglas found the evidence. Cat Caro still performs in theaters. Sometimes Cat Caro, the posters say, finds the path. Cat Caro knows the way. Okay, so I'm going to have a chat with my people about evidence before too long. Before we do that, let's keep working at the job, and let's at least try and... Ooh. I think I actually just consigned myself to some fascination doing that. I should have thought that through. So again, this is not going to give me restlessness like in the other cases. This is just going to be increasing my graveyard mouth. Now that it's up to 4, I need to stop doing the expeditions and I need to start chowing down on some corpses. That'll of course give me a little bit of a breather as well, just in terms of getting some of my other tasks done, like, you know, upgrading followers and whatnot. But I need to be a little careful in terms... Ooh, we're actually going to have a few of these going on, so let's batten down the hatches. I think I'm going to do the same trick as before. We're going to do 3 in this case, and then a passion. We'll throw the restlessness in. Oh, Slyvel, sorry, I completely missed your raid. I'm actually probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon, but I'm glad to have you in here. TTV Septic Boy, chalk dogs or cats? I don't actually have either and have never had either. I love dogs' enthusiasm, and I'm particularly fond of dachshunds. But I've known more cat people, and there is something quite charming about cats. Overall, though, if I were to have a pet, I think I'd really like a pig. And how you doing, Panda Player? I don't know if you came in with the Slyvel raid, but I apologize for not acknowledging that earlier. I still have a host alert, but I rely on Twitch for the chat notification of it, and obviously I'm not good at checking it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Septic Boy. Okay, we'll go for the Icy Atmosphere. It's going to be a little bit of a narrow thread to weave. I think it's what it's going to... I think the way I'm actually going to wind up with this is I'm going to take the hit on Fascination, and I'll use the Fleeting Reminiscence to get rid of that. I'll use the Icy Atmosphere in an upgrade. Oh, but you know what? It's going to take a full minute. Yeah, I just set myself up for a world of pain. But I will still be able to upgrade someone with this. So I will survive, but I won't be happy. You've just been chilling here for a while, winding down for the evening. Okay, cool. Nothing bad that's going to happen to me is going to be... Well, it'll be like just shy of the 1 minute mark. So in this case, what the hell did I just kick? I think that's a monitor cable. Gonna go back through the door. Strathcoin's Cozy Sanctum. A fire smolders in the grate. Glass cases display hard-won trinkets. We must seize what we can quickly. Strathcoin may already have telephoned the police. Okay, so spend money for the colors. Okay, so you have another Restlessness. That'll be going into the work when I can. We don't have Sickness right now, so I don't need to worry about the Vitality. I just kind of want the painting to get finished as soon as possible so that I can go back to getting rid of the Restlessness. There we go. Out into the night. We escape unseen, but the next day there are reports of a fire at Strathcoin's. Did someone knock a live coal to the hearthrug, or did Strathcoin destroy the place himself as part of some larger scheme? So more notoriety, which of course is a liability. We've got Yzabet, which is good news. We have Traveling at Night, Volume 3. We have got the Wainscot Histories, the Journal of Alessandro Lacrosse. Oh, neat. Okay, so I'll get language out of that. Locksmith's Dream, Stolen Reflections, Volume 4. And a treatise on the underplaces. So all good finds. Again, I need to think a little bit about what my next few moves are going to be, because I am going to be wrapping up at this point. So, exploration. I said we needed to hold off on these for a bit, but why did I say that? Right, graveyards. We can do that right now. Study, we can plow into that as soon as possible. If I want Callagines to help with the evidence, probably traveling at night makes the most sense. So the annotated dream journals of Christopher Lopoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist, literate, entertaining, bewildering. This is the 3rd volume. Elopoli's disquisitions on fire and the unburnt god are interrupted by passages of distractingly erotic poetry addressed to Baldomera. Who is your Baldomera, chat? So in 49 seconds, I'm going to get my talk verb back. So I will be able to use the icy atmosphere, but it's not at all clear that I'm going... Oh, wait, no. I think we've already run this test. So I believe we should be able to upgrade Saliba to the level 5. Or anyone else, for that matter. I will accept... you know what? We'll put this into play, because if I don't, I know next week I'm just going to screw it up. So, okay, tentative evidence is a liability, but I've got slightly more dangerous things happening right now. Rather Baldomero less. My recent work is considered notable. I've exhibited the latest paintings publicly. Surely someone will surely buy something. Well, we certainly got enough mystique. And we technically got a return on it, but not the return I was hoping for. And still no staleness, which is a little surprising, to be honest. Okay, so back to work as a medium. Back to work as a medium. This will turn into fascination, but we don't have a... Oh, Jesus. The fact that we've got a Season of Suspicion coming up has changed the equation. So, let's get rid of the fascination the way we know how. We're going to wait 20 seconds to get access to the character. Found promising burial ground. Good news. Got 24 seconds. Yes, this will still work. So let's go to the cemetery with a sufficiently pliable individual. A disinterment. So I'm going to need a minute. I have to hope for a minute where they're not finding evidence while I get rid of the chilly atmosphere. If I have that turn into dread while the Season of Despair is up, that's going to be very sad. Now the good news is I'm swimming in mystique right now, so it's a reasonably good time to be in danger of the police. Hello, Enid. So, step number 1, Children of Silence, 1 Saliba, 1 chilly atmosphere, 1 operation of the declining sun. Saliba understands blood, he does not yet understand birth. My follower will kneel as a novice and rise as an initiate. I will administer the necessary oaths myself. So... Alright, now things get interesting. Okay, this could have gone very badly for me. I didn't realize he would have that done so quickly. Alright, to reach the stag door, I believe that all you really... Sorry, to reach the stag door, I believe all that you really need is to want something enough. But I've never wanted anything that much, except of course Baldomera, and I'm very much afraid that the knot in this story is this. What Baldomera wants is the stag door. But here's something that I learned in Persia. Perhaps it'll teach you what you want. So, the Smith's Secret, that's a bit of an anticlimax for a book that we worked so hard for, but... okay. Next up, I have to eat this corpse very quickly, otherwise the police are going to find it. So once again, my appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. So there's sometimes something left over which must be buried again, but one can be efficient. So I'm just going to wait for the start. Okay, 30-second... I'm going to wait till he's at like the halfway point on this one, just so we can stagger things out a little bit. Okay, that should be sufficient. Okay, glimmering, not a high priority at the moment. Again, we're just carrying on with the medium to try and distract from the really heinous crimes that we've done. This game is great out of context. Yeah, it's the Crusader Kings of video games, really. Okay. Dream got open again. I think it's still the right call is to keep hammering away at the white door. And we actually have two options available to us now. We either try and get the favor from authority, or we try and get the winter influence. So we've found something profitable. So normally I kind of want to use these in my medium job, but I think I might send it to Miss Nania just to make sure everything's balanced out. It's going to take me 17 seconds before I'm able to send Yzabet off on a mission. Oh, that stings. I'm still going to be able to dodge the bullet on the evidence, though. Look at how much I tried, but the wary detective sees all. All right. I can enjoy this one at a more leisurely pace. If Johnny was around, I'd be asking him his recommendations for corpse recipes. Once again, my appetite rises, flecked once again with shivers of revulsion. How many more do I need to eat? 2 more. So I'll go straight into the cemetery. I just need to make sure I don't use the study verb for anything else. Of course, what we were worried about has already happened. We've got another level of suspicion. Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now your past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You are not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Saliba's pleasures are taken in a room without windows. His companions return to him again and again, even though each time they are a little less. Okay. So, we now know that, the tentative... Oh, actually... This is going to be tricky because I can't populate the tentative evidence inside here. So I actually need to wait for the damning evidence now. Well, this is going to get spicy. So the original plan was I was going to talk to Yzabet about destroying the tentative evidence, but in 44 seconds this is going to tick down. They're going to take it right out of the verb. So that's just going to be wasted. So in this situation, I'll accept my fate, and we will instead... How much time do I have on the fleeting reminiscence? 64 seconds. I was going to try and bring Enid and Victor in, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint with the restlessness. As before, just pile up a bunch of mystique, passion to keep it interesting, and after a little while I'm going to use the fleeting reminiscence with Miss Nania to turn into restlessness. Shovel strikes wood, that's a good sign. If the coffin is too far rotted, usually the remains are scant. More mystique. Did I miss something? Oh, no, hang on. We've still got... We just have 2 something profitable. Basically, when you're a ghoul, you sort of treat it like you're a bear. You need to... You know, you bulk up for the winter months. And then you... You just let it waste down over time. Cool. This may be a liability, but let's see how it goes. Last night, the white door was bright as a mirror, bright as fresh snow, bright as the migraine moon. I remember its brightness, but I remember its chill the most. I laid my cheek against it, and I feel the ache of its cold against my skull. Okay, a little premature with the restlessness, but we'll get by. Let's, in this case, I think Cat Caro is the obvious candidate for the upgrade. I believe we'll have a level 5 of everyone. Oh, Cat Caro's already been upgraded. Okay, I'm ahead of the game then. So the question is, do I want Heart, Forge, Lantern? I've already got Grail and Moth. I think, well, we've not intentionally, but it looks like we've actually been doing a left to right pattern here. So looks like Pope Clifton's getting the upgrade, which is fine because I actually quite like Pope Clifton. So Pope Clifton, now Clifton improvises his new prayers rich with solar metaphors. He still shouts like a soldier and drinks like a sailor. So we'll lose this for a minute. Again, he's still doing his whole evidence thing. Sickness is coming up next, so I don't have anything to worry about there. Well, I mean, one can be worried about sickness, but I don't need to worry about sickness in game-losing terms. Okay, I got contentment, and that's about it from this thing. Oh, and staleness. Can't forget staleness. Okay, so eventually I want to try and get rid of the staleness, but more importantly, I want to just make money and preserve the restlessness. So we found something shameful through eating the dude, and I believe I've got one more corpse to eat. All right. This one's dessert, so tuck in. No point in going back to the cemetery. I've got more mystique than I'm ever going to know what to do with. I suppose the question now, I'm kind of already in it as far as the evidence is concerned. So perhaps at this point, maybe I should just, you know, go through the remaining locations. It's really hard for me to justify any other use for the expedition or the explore verb at this point. So Cater and Hero Limited it is. Of course, and with that in mind, it probably would have made more sense to upgrade one of the Forge followers, but that's life. In fact, I'm so confident about it, I'm going to double up Valsine and Laidlaw. Actually, hang on. It's usually Lantern that's the other path through, so I'll check in 2 funds just in case. The remaining factory walls could topple at any moment. Blackened timbers creak in pain. We must equip ourselves properly and move with dreadful care. So we may not finish this expedition tonight, but we've at least set ourselves up. One of the reasons why I've gone a little bit later here is I want to make sure that I'm setting myself up for like a reasonably straightforward situation for next stream. If I... All right. I'm certain that my adversary has lodged a copy of their notes elsewhere, with their solicitor, with their superior, or even with a contact in the press. This is troubling. So it's 2 batches of tentative evidence rather than 1 damning evidence, so that's bought me a little more time. But we have yet another season of suspicion coming up because the game hates me. Fortunately, there is no notoriety on the board, so we should be able... Of course, we may generate notoriety through trying to get rid of the tentative evidence, because life is mean. We've got Restlessness coming up, so this time I'm going to do the reverse. 3 Passion and 1 Mystique. This is mostly just so that I can only, like, so I don't have to worry about juggling these. Yeah, strong hands or clear sight. This is going to finish in 29 seconds, so I'm going to add Pope Clifton. We'll get 10 Lantern. But yeah, so a lot of this is just about setting myself up for a kind of a scenario. I'm pretty sure this gives me... It actually could be Fascination or a favor from Authority. I'm just trying to set myself up for something that's a straightforward start, because there's been too many Wednesdays where I take leave of my senses. I just want to get the stream. You know, I have my usual intro, but after that I'm like, okay, I actually need to get playing the game, and I don't properly consider what the next step is. So, how best to serve dessert course? Well, I'm not really a chef Panda player, so next time Johnny stops by, we can ask him. Okay, this was the right call. I've learned something that will earn me a favor once only. On the chance that this produced Fascination, I still would have taken it. Like, I don't remember the patterns perfectly, but this is just a get out of jail free card if I really screw this up. So, last night I dreamt of a blue silk pavilion overlooking the cloudy labyrinth and the bounds. I listened to the mistress of this place speak of other visitors. The Suppression Bureau come here. Did you know that? I think they hope to recruit me as an ally, she snorts derisively, after what they tried to do to Christopher. But their folly is your fortune. I will tell you something that may help you if the Bureau ever troubles you. Okay. Still, you know, one option left for my dreams at the moment. Obviously, I'm going to have to deal with sickness at some point, but the longer that I play chicken with that, the better off I am, because I can potentially get vitality naturally. Okay. Now you shed your blood as the sun's blood was shed. Now the past is divided from your future as the wolf was divided. You are not born. Your service ends only in dissolution. Arise in silence. Clifton's devotions have grown complex. His eyes have grown wide and shining. His voice has become even louder. So we'll add him to the expedition. Okay, ease a bet. I want to get rid of this one because it's 10 minutes. My scheme will most likely succeed. There's always a chance something will go awry. So the worst case scenario is this fails, generates a notoriety. That notoriety gets picked up by the Season of Suspicion, which then turns one of these into damning evidence. But it's, you know, I don't really have a lot of options here, so I'm gonna risk it, and if I wind up in a corner, I'll deal with it at the time. Spend money on paints. I should have Restlessness on the table. No, Restlessness isn't ready to go yet. Here, I'm going to read the Journal of Alessandro Lacrosse, Prince Alessandro Lacrosse, or possibly Lacroix. Spent years in secret study of the tablets taken from the Fucine marshes in central Italy. His work will allow you to decipher Fucine texts.
I would never want to belong to any club.
Who followed? Nick Stex, thank you very much for the follow. Especially because I was going late on this, so I sort of feel like I'm sort of at my lower energy right now, but thank you for that support as always. Well, not as always from you, obviously. Hopefully that will be a unique event, but I think you know what I meant. The Watchman will clear our sight so that we can almost certainly pass without error. So 10 Lantern. Again, the Forge might have been helpful, but even between Laidlaw and Tristan, we're only going to have a total of 9, which won't be as high as this. So we'll let it run by, and hopefully there will not be any negative side effects. We're going to wait probably 15 seconds or so for the painting to finish. This illness has damaged my health. I'll need to rest before I'm fully recovered. Cure your affliction with funds or vitality. I'm still going to play a little bit of chicken with the game as far as the affliction. I'm still going to be going through. So this is going to be one draw on the RNG to try and get the vitality. This one will be another. And then, of course, we're going to be going back to the medium job. So there's still a few chances that we'll generate a vitality with which we can cure the affliction. Failing that, we'll have earned enough money that we can just pay for it. But the world goes away. I'm going to get like a fascination out of this. Oh, Jesus, that would be exactly what the game would do to me right now. Okay, we made money, so that's good. We still have a fair amount of mystique, so hopefully in the worst case scenario, the bad guys will be distracted. And by bad guys, I mean the people who are actually the heroes of some horror novel, but they're bad to me. And did we clear? Hey, we did. Nice. Okay. So no more staleness, but of course we're just going to keep generating mystique as a medium. If dread rears its ugly head at some point, we'll have contentment to deal with it. I don't think that'll happen in the next minute. So I do want to mind myself with the fascination, but I don't think we will have any problems. So I'm not going to be digging up any corpses, so no risk from the suppression bureau there. I am trying to destroy evidence. If that fails, then I'm in trouble. And let's go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight. I mean, I'm not going to use it, but it's hard to say no to a Forgotten Chronicle. And I've got 144 minutes, so obviously I can roll the dice again with the Way of the White Door. Each time the heart is invoked, there's always that chance that we have the Course of the Heart and generate a vitality, which is effectively as good as one funds because it mitigates a cost I would already otherwise have. So in 10 seconds we'll find out if that turned out or not. In places, it overlaps with languages I know. In other places, well, I can see why they call it the Tongue of Witches, but I can understand it well enough now. Okay, I think we'll read the Wainscot histories. At this point, I think we'll just digest whatever books we have, because I don't think there's going to be anything else for me to do with the study verb. The Wainscot Histories, subtitled Stories from Behind the Walls, a miscellanea of non-traditional histories compiled by William Gore, including battles not generally acknowledged and countries which appear on no map, told in a playful, apparently fictional manner. Gore does not mention the Mansis directly, but constant coy metaphorical references to ascending the staircase of years, to the doors of sleep, and to the blue light of dawn suggest that he had commerce with the unseen world. Let's see how this turned out. Ah! My minion is returned, stumbling, mumbling, clumsily bandaged. They were caught in the coils of their own plan. Alright, so this is a big liability. Because Yzabet is my better operative. So this is going to take a minute to get rid of that wound, and of course it's going to take another minute to try and get rid of the evidence, and all the while the Suppression Bureau now has this hanging over my head. But I don't have any other options really, so treasures lie before us. We're mud spattered and thorn scratched, but we've made it through. So I'm going to wait until at least one of these tentative evidence has been dealt with. I've taken it personally now. I should maybe pause with the restlessness ticking down like that. So again, I do have the favor from an authority, but it's this might decay at exactly the time I don't want that to happen. Unfortunately, in this case... Oh, I'm an idiot. We had the Course of the Heart. I just wasn't paying attention. So that's a little bit of money wasted. Okay, good news that they're eating up the Mystique. I'll be able to send Yzabet on another mission pretty quickly. Now, something profitable I need to make good use of in 40 seconds. So this is going to put me on a treadmill, though, so it's like 30 seconds with Miss Nania right here. It's going to turn that into 50 seconds. Yep, I'm doing it. So it was common in the time to speak of the division of the sun by which contemporaries understood the eruption of barbarian forces and their uncouth gods. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say this is clearly a bigger job than I need to worry about, and we're getting close to an hour past where I wanted to finish. It's also midnight, so that's kind of a really hard stop in terms of just making sure I get enough sleep for work. So I'm gambling in the sense that I'm going to send Yzabet. I should have read the text for that, by the way. So this is a big worry here. Yzabet is, if they get another wound, they're potentially gone for good. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sending Porter instead. I don't actually like getting to Scar 2. And the reason for that, Scar 1 I'm okay with because it gives you a little extra flavor. Once you get to Scar 2, now the decision is like there's the potential that the wound will kill this follower. And so you become a little more reluctant to use them. And so as a result, it's not actually a fatality, but the fact that you use them less suddenly, you know, again, it's one of these ones where it's almost as good as losing them to a conservative player like me. But Porter is equally skilled, so we can get him to work on the tentative evidence. Now, the thing is that the Suppression Bureau has this notoriety hanging over my head, and there's going to be notoriety that comes out of Cater's office. So we're going to have 2 notoriety on the table, and a bunch of this mystique is going to vanish on its own time. So the gamble I'm taking is this. I'm going to be spending about a minute or 2 with Miss Nania, devouring the memories. Obviously, if I want, I can use them in the work verb as well. It'll earn me money, but I need to figure out what I'm doing with my restlessness in that case, because I only have a few more seconds left on it. So I'm going to delay things a little bit with Miss Nania. The hope is that Porter will be able to get rid of the tentative evidence, and this one will decay on its own. So the priority is going to be to take this
I would never want to belong to any club.
That was Idle Satire. Thank you very much for the follow. So the tentative evidence, this one has the longer timer. So my aim is to get rid of this one. It's possible this one will go away on its own. If not, you know, that's unfortunate. The timer resets when it becomes damning evidence. But in terms of priorities, obviously the freshest is the most dangerous. Now, of course, the worst that can happen, Porter fails as well, generates a third notoriety right around the time. So let's say it's so we've got 30 seconds talking with Miss Nania. Let's say I say, okay, it's an emergency. I've changed my mind. Let's just have the memories decay. So let's pretend that happens. So that means it's going to be 90 seconds for, before Porter starts trying to get rid of the evidence. So this means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my mystique. Sorry, 6 of my mystique go away. And I'll probably have generated 3. So it's probably a net loss of 2. And of course, by then, we'll have 3 notoriety on the table rather than 2. So generally, it's going to become easier and easier for the Suppression Bureau to cause problems for me as I try and remove the tentative evidence. But the fact of the matter is we're still going to have 2 notoriety on the table, and there's nothing I can do about that. So the right approach to me seems to be try and take advantage of time in the fact that, whatever's going to happen in the next couple of turns is going to happen. It's time that this tentative evidence ticks down. When I've dealt with the memories, Porter can start working on the second tentative evidence, and we can reevaluate the position based on what happens when I send him on to that mission. As for the rest of it, we have all the languages that we need. I will be heading to the Forsaken Reach when I can. I don't expect to get any books out of that, so it would be reasonable for me to start considering what happens at the level 2 and level 3 expeditions, but I am getting a little short on money, so we might wind up taking a little bit of a breather. I might take a deal with Poppy, and it probably wouldn't hurt to have a couple of summons to deal with whatever we find. But as always, that will be time for another broadcast. Thank you everybody for watching. I really do enjoy Cultist Simulator, and I'm glad that we finally started making the painting. In retrospect, of course, it makes sense. It's, there weren't any other hints given to me in terms of working, so playing the game as I normally would presumably would eventually show me what I needed to do. But I'm glad that we're on track for that. And there are a couple of things written in the tooltips which sort of imply, at least to me, where this is all headed. But we will see that another time. Just a quick word for those of you who do like Cultist Simulator but maybe don't necessarily watch my other stuff. I will be doing Cultist Simulator basically every Wednesday, except for the third Wednesday of each month. That's when I go to Dirty Rectangles, a local game development, kind of a local game development collective. I think it's a barbecue this time rather than actual show and tell. But I don't know. I like checking out stuff like that. What else do we? Thank you, Melemony. But yeah, so if you are only here for the cultist stuff, feel free to, feel free to stop by each Wednesday. If you want to watch the other things that I'm playing, my Fridays are more free days. Mondays are dedicated to Stellaris at the moment, more broadly Paradox games. And I will let you know there is something special happening. Oh, no Stellaris this Monday. I'm going to be doing something mysterious instead. So, I will see you all then. And then, yeah, as far as Friday is concerned, I still need to figure out what I'm doing there. So, oh, and of course, Elder Scrolls, Surviving Mars vodcast will be tomorrow. If you want to watch the high quality version, that will be on YouTube. But before I wear out my welcome, we have got the Bronze Demon. Now, I'm going to use the raid command on here, but I will do the standard one just because I think that's a reasonably nice. So it's just basically for anybody, for whatever reason, who doesn't automatically get through. Please, you don't need to use the quote, "We're tired of system talk, this place was better." I don't actually know this individual. Some of you will probably like there is a backseat gaming allowed message on there. So I know some of you do like to talk about the mechanics of the game. It seems like this streamer is more in line with that. So obviously, whatever they say there. Again, you don't need to do the raid message. I'm going to be doing the raid command on its own, but if you want to see the link of the person we're going for, go ahead. Apparently, the last person we hosted when we did this was very original in their take on Cultist Simulator. As always, it's not necessarily an endorsement. I don't know what their stream is like, but I do like the idea of supporting more Cultist Simulator stuff. To just try and keep the energy for the game up. So I hope you will come along and see another Cultist Simulator streamer. Until next time, we'll see you then. Why doesn't this work? There we go. Have a good night, everybody.